Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. Welcome back to Criminality. Let me say hi to everybody in chat. Hi, Aunt B. Hi, Danielle. What's up, Ramblin'? You didn't get to go to court today, huh? Hi, Dynamite. What's up? Hello, Spring. Lilith Kane. Shaz. Hey, Snappy Dragon. Hi, Travis. And Slothy Ghosty. And VR. Lorna. Trinity. Hi, Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. I was going to email you. Have you got to go to the trial? I know you were going to try to. Have you been able to go at all? It doesn't seem to be as busy as I think most people thought it was going to be. Hi, Mama. Hi, Kathy. Peppermint tea. So I'll do a brief little history. I put together a pre-recorded video for you guys for anybody who needed just a refresher that's followed the case, or anybody who was new to the case, just to give you a basic background so that you could at least know what was happening in the trial. If you don't know, and this is your first time hearing about it, which I doubt that's the case, but it is a very graphic and gory case. So if that's not something that you can handle, I want you to know that it's okay, and I love you anyway, and you don't have to be here. But it is a lot. It is a lot. I mean, it's just, I don't even know I don't have the right words. It's just, there's so much to this case. And when it comes to like just the details of what happened to this baby. So graphic and gory about a beautiful young baby. Yeah, it is. I'm a 5-year-old. Hello, Spring. Today was awful. Hi, Dina. Today, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It's already right off the bat very, very emotional. It ended early because, poor Kayla. She's just, she's struggling. Poor Kayla. Hi, Daycare Mama. Hi, Keiki. Hey, Caitlin. Miss Kay. You're going to hopefully go next week? Okay. Well, at least she'll be back on Monday. Adam is disgusting. They both are. So I'm going to have... So here's the second trigger warning. Some people have only watched me covering Delphi, and I'm very open-minded, and I'm very unsure of how I feel about that case. You're going to see a very different side of me when you see how I feel about a case and how I already have come to my own predetermined outcome of what I believe happened. So if you've only started following me for Delphi, then you're going to see something completely different, because for me, when it comes to the cases, once I have my mind kind of wrapped around what I think happened, and there's not any more sleuthing, I guess you would say, or trying to put the pieces together or make, try to understand things, I don't necessarily follow the case as much, or I don't cover the case as much, is really what it is. If I end up covering more cases either for the outcome, like where we're at with the Harmony Montgomery case, or while I'm trying to figure things out, if that makes a lot of sense. So like we talked about, like Idaho 4, like I feel like they're on the right path. I pay attention to when the docs drop. I will listen to some things about it, but I don't go get involved in a lot of people's chats when it comes to Idaho 4, because I already have my predetermined, like my conclusion is already there, and I don't put my energy into it, if that makes sense. So I feel that way about the Harmony Montgomery case. I have my thoughts on what I believe happened, and so now I'm back to following it to get the conclusion to the case, if that makes sense to everybody. So I have zero compassion. I have zero compassion for Kayla. I literally today I was watching Sleuth Mom's stream. And if you guys are watching the trial on Sleuth Mom, just know I'm there, but I'm normally behind, and so I don't jump into chat and say hi because I'm doing like 50,000 other things. But I'm normally there. And so I was watching it, and I was getting so mad. I was getting so mad that I was like, I need to put my phone down. Otherwise, I'm probably going to break it, because I was so fucking pissed at her. Yeah, I totally will, Sleepy. Absolutely. Same girl, same. Hi, Bonnie. Hey, Mother of Dragons. Yeah, I just don't. I have zero compassion for her. Yeah, no, I don't think either one of these people are good people. I think they are both pieces of shit. I don't have any thought on like, oh, there's somebody else, or these guys didn't do it. I think they're both garbage human beings. I get infuriated because this woman, this mother, is serving 1.5 years, and she's almost done, on a plea deal that was bullshit. And so that's why I said I have very strong feelings when it comes to how I feel about this case. So hi Ariel. Yeah, can't watch it, Logan, but it's totally okay. Like I said, I know that it's this one is hard. Nerdy lets us cuss up a storm the whole day on his channel. Okay, maybe I should well, and she doesn't care if I don't know. It's just so much, because I can't wrap my mind around it. So let me go through just a little background if you are not familiar with the case. But like I said, it's like a 20, maybe I think it's like 25 minutes, but the last couple minutes it shows you like just pictures of Harmony throughout her life, and but it gives you like a very basic recap on what the situation is. But I'm going to give you that now anyway, just not in the 20-minute form. It's going to be more about a couple minutes. So if you're not familiar with the case and you just are coming into it, you can go watch that video. I also have another video where I read through the 54-page document that details what the state believes Adam did to Harmony and how he disposed of her. If you're not aware, Harmony's remains still have not been located, and there's probably a good chance they never will be. Okay, so let's back up. So she was born in 2014 to her mom, Crystal, and her dad, Adam, in New Hampshire. In Massachusetts. Sorry, I'm already getting it all screwed up. In Massachusetts. Both parents of the biological parents have a lot of drug issues, of drug history, and now the step parent also. They just a lot of addiction and a lot of kids that are affected by the addiction. I'm going to try to stay and listen. I haven't followed this case because I just can't stand these cases involving heinous acts and harm to children. I know. I never sobbed through the reading of a court document. I was literally choking on the words. That was one of the hardest things I've ever read. And I think that it's tough because it almost makes, like, this sounds so stupid, but it makes other ones easier to read, even though they're horrendous in themselves. But it's things like when you go through what like Gannon did and what Harmony did, you just go, man, there's some people out here that are just absolute pieces of shit, and they should not even be walking. And I'm not going to say that. That would be bad. But I think you get what I'm saying. So she was born in 2014. Adam was actually in jail. There's a history there. In 2008, he actually had killed somebody else, and there's a whole, I'm not going to go into that whole case, but so he was actually in jail, history of drugs, history of just being a bad dude. And so he was actually in jail when Harmony was born. Crystal and Adam, and they end up splitting up. I mean, they go visit a couple times when he's in jail, but that's about it. They split up. She moves on. She ends up with another guy, and she ends up having a baby boy with that other guy. And because of drugs, her kids keep getting taken away from her. They just keep going back and keep back and forth. They keep trying to give them back to Crystal. She can't get her shit cleaned up, so then they take them away again. Ultimately, I will say right now, Crystal is, she's a recovering addict, and I'm very, very proud of her. But it's so hard to look back and just go, and I can't imagine being her, living in like the hindsight of, if I had made different choices, then we wouldn't even be where we are right now. But that is what it is, and can't really live in the past. So she loses custody ultimately of both Harmony and her younger son. She has really tried now. She really has tried, but and that's why I'm like, I don't want to give her too much shit, because I can only imagine the guilt that she lives with in her own life and what she could have done different. But at first everybody's just like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? So Adam gets out of jail and he moves to New Hampshire, where he's from. And I think he actually knew Kayla when he was younger, but then they meet up again and they end up together. They end up having multiple children together. He decides that he wants to fight for custody of Harmony. So now you're going to get me down this whole, like, I'm really pissed off about the CPS and whatever it is in that state, DCYF, DYCF, the Department of Children's Family and Youth Services, and whatever it's called in each state. There's so many cases that we cover when it comes to kids that they have just completely failed. They just completely failed. And this is absolutely one of them. So he decides he's going to get custody of Harmony. So he keeps going back to Massachusetts to fight for custody, and they end up giving it to him. So he takes Harmony back to New Hampshire with him. Crystal still gets like a visitation. If I remember right, and somebody else might be able to validate this for me, but she was actually, the adoption for her boy was going through like the same day, like the court cases were the same day as Adam's custody for Harmony. And so she couldn't go to both. So I think she ended up going to the adoption one and not Harmony's. But like I said, somebody will make sure that I know. I don't remember reading about the blender and the affidavit. No, I don't either. That was the only thing that's in there that I don't remember being in there. So she goes to live with Adam and his almost wife, or I think they had just gotten married, Kayla Montgomery, who is a big player in the whole thing that we're going to talk about a lot from today's hearing. And they're drug addicts. They have one son. They end up with another son. And so it's Harmony living with her dad, Adam, her stepmom, Kayla, her two younger brothers. They're staying at Adam's grandmother's house in Manchester, New Hampshire. The grandmother has her son there, which we'll talk about him because that's Uncle Kevin. Adam's brother is there. Adam's brother's girlfriend, who's also named Kayla, lives there. And I feel like I'm missing one. But there's a ton of people living in the house. Grandma ends up actually moving out. Yeah. She did. Okay. Unsolved crimes. That's what I was thinking. His adoption was 6 months before she went to Adam. Was it? Hello, Spring? Okay, we'll have to look at that. I'll look into it. But she did send her lawyer stating she was fine with Harmony being with Adam. Oh, oh God. So this house is just full of all these people. Grandma ends up moving to Florida, and Adam's brother and his girlfriend also leave. I believe they go to Florida as well. Uncle Kevin sticks around, and then he ends up leaving to go to Florida to take care of his mom after having surgery, and then he has a lot of back and forth. So and I'm not talking about some of the other ones because they're not as big of people, or not players, that's not the right word, but they're not as connected to the case. So I'm not overly talking about them. So Uncle Kevin is a big one. So Uncle Kevin keeps coming back and forth. All right, let me see. Hey girl, Trista. Joni may have to sit this one. I get it. That's what I said at the beginning of this. I'm like, I get it. This one's tough. So there's a lot of back and forth, and this is when we have more of the I'm going to call it CPS because that's what it is here. Otherwise, I keep screwing up all the initials to it. So CPS, the Child Protective Services. So this is when we get more involved with them, because Uncle Kevin comes back from Florida and he actually sees that Harmony has a black eye. Oh, you know what? I think I have that photo. Do I have it? Come on. You've got to be in here, right? I don't know where I put it. But there is a photo of her, and she's got like a knot right off the right side of her face, and you can see plain as day that it's a huge knot. I don't see it though. I don't know where I put it. Department of Children and Family. I know, that's why I'm like, I'm going to mess them all up. So Uncle Kevin comes back from Florida and he sees that Harmony has this black eye, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, what happened here? And he ends up calling, I think he actually goes back to Florida first. There's a fight that ends up happening between the two of them. No, that's the second time. Let me back up. Rewind. When he goes to Florida to take care of his mom, the electricity has actually been turned off in the house. So he goes to Florida to take care of his mom, and then he calls the Department of Children's Services. So we're talking. Okay, hold on. I don't have that up, so let me look. So he goes down, and then he calls and says, hey, there's no electricity, and Kayla and Adam are doing drugs. And so they go out to check. I'm going to pull this up. Ooh, girlfriend, you got the receipts. Really? Hot diggity damn. All right, let me pull this up. So that wasn't true. That makes me pretty fucking sad, to tell you the truth. That wasn't a true story. Yeah, all right, here. I know I'm going to bring it up on screen so you guys can see it. And the only reason I'm going to put his name up here is because he is actually very vocal. This is the one of the dads to Harmony's little brother. I try not to say all these people's names because if they don't really, want to be out there, but he's a huge advocate for getting justice for Harmony and making sure that Harmony's little brother always knows who Harmony was and so this is from June 26th of 23. For the record, Jameson's adoption was November 22nd of 2019. Sadly, long after Harmony was handed over to a monster. Okay, I want to go back because I also don't know if it was the finalization of the adoption or if it was something. One of you guys will check and see this. Was there a hearing, just a custody hearing, not the final adoption? And maybe I'm saying it wrong. I don't know. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt here. Like, that would suck. I really don't want her to have lied about that. Hey, Purple Puddles. Yeah, Carolyn, agreed. No. Ellis Spring, give me. You guys, seriously? Ariel, that's now my question, because I've always kind of just believed that. So did she just not go? That's not true, right? Fudge. Hello, Spring. No, I get it. I get it now. I'm like, she just didn't go? Hey, Jay. No, you're okay, Hello, Spring. I totally get it. I'm not right now. I'm so disappointed. That's where I'm at, because I'm like, I don't. That's the story that I drugs. It's fucking what a disaster. If it wasn't for Jameson's new parents pushing her so she could have a relationship with his sister, she would have never looked for Harmony. That makes me really flippin' sad, because I've really kind of, like, I don't want to say advocated, because that's not what I haven't advocated for her, but I've really kind of leaned towards feeling more for her. Crystal had court the same day with her son, and judges wouldn't change it. Well, that's what we're learning right now, is that that's not true, Mama. That's not true. The boss lady, and the bio mom was still using at this point. Sniper. Oh God, I couldn't agree with you more. They should be embarrassed by the deal they offered Kayla. It's absolute outrage. I agree. I agree. I'm struggling with listening to the trial because of it. Play the video of Blair. Did you send it to me? There. Of course you did. I don't even know why I would ask. Of course you sent it to me. This is the new one, right? Yep. Okay. I was gonna play this one, so we can play it now. Hold on. I gotta make sure you guys have sound. I don't think I turned sound on. Sound? No sound? Sound? Can't hear. Figures. I'm like, I think as I just was sharing that document or that screenshot real quick, I didn't bother. Which is okay. I'll just do it now. Yeah, roll that beautiful bean footage. Hi, Adrian. Yeah, Mama, I know that was where I was just at right now, and then that's why I'm like, wait a minute, I'm learning along with you. I've always given her the benefit of the doubt. Okay.
Joining me in the studio, a very special guest. I'm so pleased to call him my friend, my colleague, Blair Miller. Blair, thank you for being here in the studio with us. Sure. And I know this time isn't easy, and I truly can't say enough wonderful things about you personally and professionally. And our viewing audience has come to somewhat hear about your story. You've been on with us before, but I want to make this crystal clear that you and your husband, Jonathan, were willing to adopt Harmony along with her brother, Jameson, who you have adopted. What happened with Harmony? Why weren't you able to, Blair?
So when we went through the adoption process with Jameson, our third and youngest son, we instantly heard that he had a sister. And one of our first questions was, what's that situation? What are we looking at adopting 2 more children here, or what's the situation? We were instantly told that he did have a sister, and we were told by him he had a sister, and they were very close. They were in foster care together, in and out of foster homes, and we were immediately told by the state of Massachusetts that Harmony had, that situation had already been taken care of. She had been reunified with her father, who was a different father than what Jameson has.
He legit just said that she'd already been reunified. She had already been reunified. That's what he just said. So Harmony was going back and forth to the Rafferty, I know I always say it wrong. So it's Rafferty's. And they ended up having their own situation, domestic situation. So they asked for Harmony to be placed into a different foster family. And then now I'm all right, you guys, this is going to piss me off. I have always gone with that story, apparently.
Biologically. And so we were told that was not an option. We continue to ask,
thank you guys for
what's that situation? Because it's important to Jameson.
Hold on. I mean,
it was important to him, and so therefore it was important to us. And we had always said, if that door is open, we want to walk through it and figure out what's going on. Of course, now we hear everything. It's painful to hear it.
Oh, Blair, I can't even imagine. I've been saying the heartbreak, I'm sure you, your husband, Jonathan, feels, your boys, you and Jonathan, I say, they're like angels on earth. They really are. They've adopted 3 beautiful little boys, all from different families. Jameson is the youngest. I mean, you have saved Jameson's life. And I think what is so tragic about this, you and Jonathan wanted to save Harmony's too, had it not been for Adam Montgomery asserting his parental rights.
Sure, and the timing here was, pretty unique because Harmony had already been reunified with her father back in February. And we adopted Jameson officially in August of that same year.
Okay, but when did they get...
And we look at the timeline of everything. When we officially did his adoption in court, and then his birthday was right after that. It was all around Thanksgiving, when now we know what was happening to Sweet Harmony. And it is so very painful to know that we were celebrating Jameson's 3rd birthday the same weekend that she was killed in the backseat of that car. And that is a tough reality.
How much does Jameson know about the reality?
He's 7, and, but like I said, from day one, he has always said he has a sister. He will say now he has a sister.
Jameson is now 7. I can't, that's just crazy to me too. He's older than his sister ever lived. I'm so irritated now.
Sister. He loves to tell everyone about his family.
So freaking cute.
In fact, we showed this
there.
picture.
Blair, that drawing, this has some significance, doesn't it?
And this was just last week or the week before. He came home and showed Jonathan, my husband, what he made at school. And he's got his 2 dads there, his 2 brothers there,
I know
his
this
2
is hard
dogs.
for you.
But
I know.
he has that heart right there with the H in it.
Up at the top.
Yeah. For Harmony.
Because she's an angel. Is that why? Because it's like the heart was raised above.
Yes. And as the search unfolded, we were very involved in trying to get answers. Even before she was officially missing, we were trying to press for answers and trying to figure out what was going on, because we knew behind the scenes something was wrong. We weren't sure to what extent.
Right.
And really for Jameson, we wanted to bridge that relationship together. We wanted sibling visitations because it was important to him. It's important to us. And so we got to a point where we really need to, we've been very public about this because we wanted to bring attention to finding Harmony. We still want that to happen.
Right.
And we got to a point where we needed to tell Jameson that something is, Harmony's not here anymore and she's in heaven. And the moment we did, and Jameson, he is a very wild little boy, as they should be. And it was one of the first times he just sat and collapsed in our arms and just sat there. And we said, she's in heaven. And he just wanted to know. And one of the first things he said is, what happened to her and who hurt her, which is very profound for 6-year-old, 7-year-old at the time. And so now she is part of our conversation. And this was when they actually adopted him.
Zeke and
Cash and Judge Erskine there who did our adoption. And this was a special day for us. And Jameson had already been through a lot of trauma in his life, in and out of a lot of different foster homes. And he had came to us with all his belongings in a trash bag. He had already been through too much. And now this is part of his story, and it's our job to figure out how to protect him, but also help him and us as a family work through some of this.
Dude, I am so upset. Like, I'm crying. I'm like, this is so upsetting to me that like nobody gave a shit. Like, I at least wanted to believe that her mom was like trying to give a shit. Wow, like just fudge, man. I almost went and adopted a kitten after trial today to make myself feel better. I think I might need to. I can't stand this. How did nobody fucking care about her? Like, just nobody gave a shit about her. And I was looking at this the other day too, rambling. And I'm sorry, I'm probably getting loud, and I probably got, like, if you have your earbuds in, I'm sorry, I'm like all pissed off. I was looking at this the other day because I was like, I wonder like how this went down, because she talks about how she was contacting all these different law enforcement agencies and so on and so forth. And then somebody's like, well, they checked their phone records and she hadn't actually contacted them. And I was like, did they literally like go back and check their, like, what do you mean they check their phone records? Do they check like their call logs? Like, I don't know. I kind of was like, okay, well, maybe there's just like some miscommunication. It makes me so sad. It makes me so sad. This little baby girl, she's just so fucking cute, and nobody gave a shit. Like, nobody cared. And I get like her brother's like, yeah, I have a sister. I have a sister out there. But these two dads who didn't even know Harmony, they didn't even know her. And they cared more about her than the people who were actually the ones that were supposed to take care of her. Bullshit.
Right. Blair, I have loved for years, before I even knew you personally, and just admired your work as a journalist. It's the truth, really. I was a big fan of yours, journalistically for many years before I had the pleasure of getting to know you personally. And I know that you do things to mark special occasions, like Harmony's birthday in June, don't you? You mark the occasion with your kids.
Yeah, and this is really led by my husband, Jonathan, who is the heart of our family. And so every year on our birthday, we do celebrate, and that's what these pictures are here. And we have a birthday cake. We maybe get some flowers or balloons. One year we let balloons go for one for each of her years. And each of our boys let them go into the sky. Going to heaven is what he wanted to do. And then one time when we were living up in DC, he said, let's get some flowers and throw them in the Potomac River. And then they will reach his sister in heaven.
That's right.
So we try to make it part of, that conversation, his life, because the last thing we want him to do is wake up when he's 15, 16 years old and think, what's happened in my life?
Right.
And what have my dads done or not done? And that is our motivation every single day is, what are we doing to help him deal with this awful situation? So we do make it part of, every year we do celebrate that. And as painful as it is, I think there is some bit of healing for him, for us, for our other two boys. How do they talk to their brother about it?
Right.
And just this week, we're having some of those same conversations at home.
Oh, I know you are. Gosh, Blair, when Jameson talks about Harmony, I would imagine he's got some memories of her, right? That he really does remember being with her. What does he share?
He talks a lot. It used to be we'd be at a park and he'd see a little girl with blonde hair and it might remind him of her. Her blue eyes, he will talk about. And he will just say how much he loves her. Oh. And we've heard a lot of stories about the role that Harmony played with Jameson when they were in foster care together. We heard this yesterday in court. And as special as that is, it's also really hard to hear, because this was a little girl that was protecting him. And now we're constantly asking ourselves, who was protecting her? No one was.
You're right.
No one. And it is so sad. It is so heartbreaking, but it makes everyone so angry.
Yes.
And that's the hard part about it.
Yes. Well, might I just say, to answer that question that you said Jameson may have about what have his dads done, truly the answer is his dads have made our world a better place. You and Jonathan really have, Blair.
Yeah, people say that, and it's kind of you say that, but they make our world a better place. And
oh, don't you cry, Blair. Don't you do it.
3 boys, all of them have a very unique story, and they're true blessings. This morning I dropped them off for school before I came here, and all parents know this. When you drop your kids off, they go out in the world and you think, oh gosh, I hope they're going to be okay. And just looking at Jameson today, with everything that's going on, the heavy stuff that's happening, you think, gosh, I hope he's going to be okay. Not just today, but later when he realizes a lot of this stuff.
Oh, gosh. Okay, that got me. I don't know. Okay, that totally threw off my whole track of what I was talking about. But, I mean, very, very important to know. So, all right. Where are we at? So, Uncle Kevin goes to Florida, calls Department of Children's Youth Services, and says that they have no electricity there and they're on drugs. He comes back. A bit of an argument ensues because they're now using a generator. The refrigerator's like behind, like in the kitchen door. The house is a disaster. He goes in and he sees that Harmony has a black eye, and he's like, "What the fuck happened?" And he said, and Adam just says, he went to go to the bathroom to take a shit, and when he came out, Harmony had her hands over her little brother's mouth, and he was turning blue. His lips were turning blue. And so now this is where the stories will vary, because he just says, like, yeah, of course, like I pushed her away, and she got hurt. But according to Uncle Kevin says that he like knocked the shit out of her around the house, and essentially she got what she deserved. The CPS guy ends up coming to testify, and that was just weird in general. I don't know why they didn't dive more into the whole thing, because it was yesterday. Everything was very kind of short. Everybody went on the stand. It was kind of boom, 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 boom. They very first had the Miss Rafferty, who was the foster parent for Harmony, and talks about just the fact that she was potty trained. Like, that's really all she's even on there for. And then Crystal comes on to talk about how when she got Harmony back before she was sent back to foster care, that she was potty trained. Like, that's really all they were even on the stand for. It was very, very weird. They didn't go much further into anything. Uncle Kevin comes on. He's actually the most emotional about what happened. There's an interview with him that he did. I think it was with Ashley Banfield, where he's struggling the whole time to even talk about what he saw and what happened and why he called. So he ends up leaving and calling again and says, hey, the poor little girl, she's being hit, this, that, and the other. So one of the charges you actually see at this trial right now is that abuse charge from 2019 that Uncle Kevin had called in, that they never pressed charges on before, but decide to press charges now. Well, hold on real quick. Message. Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, CPS let her down. I broke yesterday's trial into chapters and got rid of all the breaks if y'all want to see it. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Did you put that up? I didn't get a notification for that. But I do want to back up because now I'm all flustered, you guys, and I'm sorry, but I am. I'm just flustered. I'll back up though because they did the opening statements yesterday, and I'll tell you I was pissed off at that too, because the prosecutor comes out and just keeps talking about like what a great person Kayla is now and how wonderful she is and how she's turned her life around and how she's been such a help to them to try to get justice for Harmony and bullshit. This is, let me share this too. You guys aren't subscribed to this channel, you're missing out. I'll tell you that. This is Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. She does a great job. Drop this video in here. So this is everything from yesterday broken down. Are you going to do the same? Well, I guess not. You don't really need to do it for today because it was just Kayla, but. So I'm going to play you a little bit of just the opening statement, and I'll just do it from her channel now that I'm here. I don't want to play the whole thing because it's a lot, but I just want to play some parts of it. Because you'll see what I'm talking about. And I know that there's people, probably even in this chat, that are going to feel bad for Kayla, and they're going to be like, no, but she was threatened, and I don't know. I'm just sorry. I don't know if I believe it. I think that's my problem is I don't believe her. She's literally a convicted liar, and so I don't know if I believe anything she says.
Life, she was I want to thank all of you. Something she had no control over. His actions, his rage, his brutality, and his.
Well, I should let you guys know that Adam has not actually shown up for trial at all because he has been told that he needs to be strip searched, and he said, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going." And the judge has allowed him to not show up for trial.
Escalation in violence. The murder of Harmony Montgomery, that was just the beginning of the depraved actions of this defendant and what this case is all about. It's about a man who, for 2 years, evaded apprehension, didn't have to answer for his crimes, had no appreciation or concern about Harmony being missing because he already knew she was dead. For 2 years.
Let's make sure that when you listen to the things that he says about Adam, it's not just Adam. She also knew for 2 years that Harmony was deceased. This isn't just an Adam thing. And don't get me wrong, because I don't like Kayla doesn't mean I think that Adam is some great guy. Adam's a piece of shit, but Kayla's right there with him.
The Manchester Police Department initiated their search for Harmony Montgomery. That man got away with murder. His only concern, other than Harmony's body being found, was to keep his wife, Kayla Montgomery, from coming in here and telling you all what he did to her. His heinous actions, his cover-up, what she witnessed.
She didn't witness.
2 years,
he participated.
He got away with butchering a 5-year-old girl. And that defendant made sure that Harmony would never be found, that she'd be gone without a trace. You'll see, he believed that if there was no body, there could be no evidence of the horrible things that he did to her, and he would get away with it. And so he went to great lengths to cover up his crimes, to cover up beating Harmony to death for a bathroom accident. He went to great lengths to cover up his conduct. Beating Harmony to death because she soiled herself.
They went to great lengths. They went to great lengths to cover it up. I was so irritated yesterday listening to this guy because I'm like, no. She's not some good person just because she decided to take a plea. Now let me just ask you guys this. If Adam had come forward and said, hey, because we know that he takes a plea on the day of jury view, he takes a plea to 2 of the charges, the abuse of the corpse and the tampering with evidence. He takes the plea deal. If he had come forward and said, Kayla killed her. We freaked out. We were high. I didn't want you guys to take my other kids. So we freaked out and we covered it up. And then he proceeds to tell the story of how Kayla killed her. Would he be getting the same plea deal? Would he be only serving 1.5 years? Yeah. Yeah, well, she says she doesn't know. She doesn't know where the body is, which I don't believe her. But I true crime fangirl. Don't know much about this case, but what I saw today makes me think I'm glad I don't. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's just it's very gory. It's very graphic. The positive, and I don't even, this is a very far reach to become positive, is because they don't have her remains, the jury doesn't have to see them. So that's one of the only positives that for this jury to be able to not have to view that. Yeah, they wanted to solidify his conviction by making the deal with her. Oh, Chelsea, I'm so glad that you're okay. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely the defense. Which I was talking to Sleuth Mom about this yesterday, too, or the day before. Is the problem is because I think they're both garbage human beings, and I think they're both liars. I don't know if the jury's going to believe her. They lived 2 minutes away from you? Wow. Yeah, she got immunity so they could get the story. But okay, so here they are. But they're just like, oh, she's just so wonderful. Like, oh, she's changed.
And he thought that if he destroyed the evidence,
bullshit.
what remained of Harmony? If he destroyed Harmony, he could never be charged. He was careless in this meticulous cover-up. He made mistakes. We're going to hear about those mistakes because it's evidence of his crimes. It's evidence of what he did. So let's talk about the evidence in this case. On December 7th, 2019, the defendant beat Harmony to death because she had a bathroom accident, something she had no control over. She'd peed her pants, and he murdered her in a series of attacks, of brutal strikes that began that morning in the car that she was living out of.
So he says this, and this is obviously possible, and this is what the state's theory is, and it's what they put in their documents, that they were living in the car after being evicted from Grandma's house. They were living in the car. Harmony was having accidents, and Adam was beating the crap out of her for having accidents. And then on the way to Burger King, she has another accident, and he beats the crap out of her and says to Kayla, I really did it this time, or something along those lines. So she testifies today, and she keeps saying, who are you looking for in court, Purple? I don't know who you're looking for, honey. Maybe I'm missing that comment, but I'm not in court. I'm in California. I'm not in court. I would be, but I'm not. So the morning they go to the methadone clinic to get their methadone, and then they decide they're hungry. He's essentially beating the crap out of her all morning. They're hungry, and they go to get Burger King. And then she says that she can hear, this is going to get you guys, she can hear essentially the gurgling and the crying moans from Harmony in the back seat while they get the Burger King. They've taken their methadone, and they just get Burger King, and then they decide to eat it. So Harmony's laying in the back seat dying. And Kayla's just eating fucking Burger King. Adam's just eating fucking Burger King. Kayla says she refuses to turn around and look at her, but when they get food, They get, here's the thing, they get food for the other 2 kids, or probably 1 kid, but because the other one's only 11 months old at the time. She turns around and gives them food, but Harmony's covered, she's under the blanket, so nobody can see her. She's under the blanket, so nobody can see her. But she doesn't try to help her. She doesn't, this is where my thing comes in about somebody who's afraid. This woman is petrified of Adam, and she's scared of what's happening with Harmony. How the fuck is she just sitting there feeding her kids and eating like nothing's happening? That's a problem for me. And I'm not going to say that the guy wasn't abusive to her. I'm not going to say that. But what I'm saying is I don't think she was afraid. Not in the way that they're trying to portray to us. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were affiliated with Crime Curious. My apologies to you and mods. No worries. Yeah, no, I'm not there. And she's a mod on the channel, but she's doing her recaps every night on her channel, I believe. And it's toss like here, toss some food over here on the blank. Like that's just ridiculous. So if she was actually afraid, of him, wouldn't she be petrified right then when he is in one of the biggest rages she's ever seen him in? And he's beating the crap out of a child in the car in this Chrysler Sebring that's not a very big car. I mean, it's just a sedan. She's just like, oh, okay. I'll just have my Burger King. And then they go back to the apartments and they get high on heroin and crack. Yeah, this is where I'm like, I don't see fear. I don't see fear that she's just going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm hungry and I'm going to eat some Burger King while this is happening. That Hayes has more evidence to convict AM without putting her on the stand and giving her a deal. I just don't get it. Basically, the prosecution pushed out and made the deal. Well, I think they made the deal because they needed the story. Because they didn't have any idea, even though they had all these conversations and the lies from Adam, they didn't have the details to what happened. And they needed that to prove he did it. That's also why he's charged with second degree. He's not charged with first degree murder. There's no death penalty. I don't think they even have death penalty in New Hampshire anymore. I think they got rid of it right around the time that he was arrested, to be honest with you, but I don't remember for sure. Yeah, so they had whoppers, methadone, crack, and heroin. Yeah. So I don't want anybody to get confused when I say that I think that when I get so pissed off about Kayla, don't think I'm not pissed off about Adam. I just think that Adam is being held accountable and Kayla isn't. And I think that pisses me off more. So, okay, let me speed it up just a little bit here. So I want to just go into some of the...
She was someone that defied all odds.
As a live soon. ATS News
she spent most of her life with Tim and Michelle Rafferty, her foster parents. How she got that injury. I beat her. I did that. The defendant in this case.
That's what he tells Kevin.
You'll hear that this shock that you saw yesterday on The View, and there he and Kayla took turns getting their treatment. You'll hear that Kayla went in first, the defendant stayed in the car, and then the defendant went in. And when the defendant came back to the car, he was hungry. And so he started driving the family's car to the Burger King that you saw yesterday on The View. And as he was pulling out of that parking lot, he smelled something. He smelled that Harmony had had another accident. And that rage that been building inside of him, it was there. Remember, he was still upset about the earlier accident, that first thing in the morning. And he looked back at Harmony as he was driving, and he said, "Really, Harmony? Again?" And he began striking her. As he was driving, holding onto the wheel, he began punching this little girl repeatedly for something she had no control over.
We don't know that. We don't know that, like Sleuthy just asked, we don't know that Harmony didn't say she had to go to the bathroom. We don't know that. And they're too busy being high and whatever the fuck else they're doing, worried about getting Burger King.
struck her blow after blow after blow to the side of her small head. And he didn't stop. And you'll hear me say that. He didn't stop. He didn't stop with that first barrage of assaults, of strikes to her small head. He continued. And when he pulled up to a light, he continued hitting her, hit after hit to her small head, blow after blow. Now, during this barrage of strikes, Kayla, who was in the passenger seat, seated next to the defendant, seated in front of Harmony, she put a hand up. She tried to block what this defendant was doing to Harmony. She tried to stop him. You'll hear that in that moment,
This is what
he looked at her as if to say, "You're next."
bullshit. I don't believe this for a fucking second.
And she was scared. And she looked forward and she put her hand down, and those strikes to Harmony continued. And when he pulled up to another light as he was driving to that Burger King parking lot, he continued striking her. And after that last strike, he looked at Kayla and he said, "I think I really hurt her this time. This time. I think I really hurt her this time. I think I did something." And he didn't stop. He continued with his drive.
So here's the big thing you have to think of on the jury side is this story is from Kayla. There is no evidence to back that up. And one of the things that the defense team will say when they get to their opening statement is they talk about that if he's beating her to this so badly in the Sebring, they talk about that there's no blood evidence in the backseat of that car. So the biggest thing that they're going to have to weigh is Kayla's story true? Do they believe her? Now, I don't know if he's going to end up testifying, but that would be an interesting day. And you guys, all of you guys who are there need to make sure you go. If he does end up testifying, you need to be there for that one. So we don't know that this is exactly what happened. We don't know it's not what happened. This is going to be totally open for whatever the jury decides to believe. You do believe her, Purple? Really? You think that she finally did? I think for me, I don't buy I was so afraid. I don't buy that. I think she was so high, she didn't give a shit. And probably there are details to the story that are accurate, and there's no autopsy. There's no way for them to prove that this is actually what happened. So they're going to have to go through and do, I don't know what they're going to do to prove that he actually did it. I don't know what they're going to try to do to prove that she's telling the truth. He'd work from, yes, you probably do. I believe her. So they see that there are people who believe her. I'm one of that. It's not. So I think if we were sitting on a jury together, we're going to end up hung because I don't believe her.
Pulled into that parking lot at Burger King and he ordered his food.
He ordered his food. No, he ordered their food.
He ordered his food and he ate.
So did she.
He didn't stop to check on Harmony. He didn't look back at her. He didn't show any concern for this innocent little girl, the child he'd just beaten. He ordered his food and he ate. And he didn't stop. You'll hear that at that time, after that last blow, after that last strike to her small head, she began moaning, making a gurgling sound. Sounds that continued on and off for several minutes. He didn't show any concern. Ate his food, and he continued driving towards the Colonial apartment parking lot.
They ate their food and they continued on. And
while
nobody
he was there, he did drugs for 20 to 25 minutes.
They did drugs.
Showing no concern for to the child that was dying in his
Neither of
backseat,
them
just
showed
feet away from him. And Kayla, you'll hear, was too scared to look back. She couldn't look back. She was frozen. She was terrified to see what he had done to this small child.
That's true,
She
Sleuthie.
could just hear that moaning, those gargling sounds that eventually stopped. After the defendant ordered his food and he was driving back, he did his drugs. Listening to those noises, not showing any concern, he pulled into the Colonial Village parking lot and he did drugs for 20 to 25 minutes. He ate his food and he did his drugs, and Harmony slowly died.
And I get it. This is their job. This is what they do. He's the prosecutor. This is the legal side of things. But I'm like, come on, dude. You know she did this too. You know she was there. You know she didn't do anything to stop it. You know she didn't tell anybody. Aren't people usually happier, less angry after they take their methadone dose? I don't know. I thought there was something. I'm not an expert in any of this by any means. So if somebody else knows, I didn't think that once you did the methadone that the heroin or crack would do anything for you. I thought that was kind of the whole point of the methadone. She is still in love with him. You can absolutely tell. Yeah. Yeah, but I thought methadone, KO, I thought it made it so that you couldn't actually feel the effects of anything else. I don't know. That's why I said I don't know enough about it, so I'm speaking out of my ass on that one.
And when he was done with that, still showing no concern for Harmony, he pulled out of the parking lot where they'd been living. And when he made it to the intersection of Webster and Elm, which you saw in the view yesterday, his car died. It died just as Harmony had died several minutes before. The defendant realized they were going to have to abandon that vehicle. And so he started removing items, getting the kids out, shaking Harmony, telling her to wake up. She wasn't responding. She couldn't. She was dead.
Hey, Granny's watching. Good to see
He had done
you.
that. And when he realized
It's supposed
that
to
Harmony was no longer alive, that he
high.
murdered her.
Okay, so you guys seem to know more about this than I do. So what would be the point then of taking the methadone to turn around a half hour later and go do heroin and crack? I guess I don't get that. It's another drug to stop doing drugs, but it didn't stop them. They just like, let's get methadone and let's go get some other shit. Hi, Ange. I think it was head trauma. There wouldn't be any blood, internal trauma. Maybe mother dragons, but I mean, okay, so we're going to have to wait, obviously, for the testimony of the people who've tested these things. But I'm wondering if she was dead in the car and then she's dead in the trunk. I mean, does it hit in the car? Do they have a cadaver dog that hits in the car? Do they do any type of testing? All that kind of stuff. But okay, so methadone is a synthetic opioid. Vitriol will block the opioid high, and Narcan will reverse an opioid OD. Oh wait, so taking more drugs after methadone makes it so you do get high. You don't believe you did both? That's interesting. Hi, Jeanette. What's up? 4 months. Love you for a long time. We love you a long time. I'm on methadone, and if you use other opioids with it, you can overdose. Narcan stops the effects immediately. I just didn't think there would be a point to it. I was kind of where I was at. Methadone and Suboxone are supposed to have blockers to counteract H and other strong drugs. That was my understanding of it, was that if you take it and then you try to take like a heroin or something else, that you can't get high. But like I said, I'm not educated in that, so please, you know, it is what it is.
He grabbed a duffel bag. Remember, they were living in that car. All of their items, all of their possessions were in that car. He grabbed the duffel bag and he stuffed Harmony's body inside. And remember those descriptions that I told you about Harmony, what you'd hear throughout this trial. That's when Harmony became the dead girl in the duffel bag. He did that to her. That's what he made her.
All right. So, all right, I'm gonna skip over to talk about. I want to do some of that from her stuff today, so you guys can see her on the stand. Her or his attorney, I swear she reminds me of Elaine. She reminds me of Johnny or Amber Heard's attorney in the Johnny Depp trial.
Ms. Montgomery, I remind you, you remain under oath.
Kayla, before, excuse me. Before we broke, you were telling us about your time in the fit shelter.
Yes.
And you mentioned the defendant taking Harmony's body out of that ceiling. She was still in the duffel bag.
Yes.
Brought her into the bathroom. Is that right?
Yes.
And you said when he was in there, you couldn't see.
So the fake crying here, and when she starts to cry, she's like wiping like areas that wouldn't even have tears. The only time I actually see her cry, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, so you guys would have to go watch it on your own, but the only time that she actually cries is when she's talking about the abuse that she suffered and when she chose to finally leave in March of 2021. The rest of it is all just bullshit to me. Like I picture like Alec Murdoch with the snot like pouring out of his face. Like that's how I see her. I think she's like a mix between Dorothy Lewis and Elaine. But if you watch her when she's standing up, she's like Elaine. Yeah, I don't know if this is the right one. This is like a recap of it. So that's why I was like, I don't know if this is the one that I want. But let me go to this one. Yeah, here it is. When she starts. She's talking about the bathroom. She's just so uninterested. That's not true. She was crying. Did you? Oh, you were there. Yeah, I should ask you. Did you actually see tears?
5.
That's Declan.
You recognize where was it in the Union Street apartment?
In the tub.
Was the hot water touching her?
Yes.
Hey, Mama.
He was running it over her?
Yes.
And what was he doing to Harmony's body during this process?
Taking the clothes off of her.
Was he touching her at all during that process?
Yes.
Tell us how he was touching her.
He was cutting the clothes off of her and just defawing her.
Did he tell you to help him at some point?
Yes.
Did you obey him?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was scared.
How did you help him?
I helped him take the clothes off of her
How did he take the clothes off of her?
by cutting it with scissors.
What did he do with her body after he cut the clothes off of her?
Put her in the bag of lime.
You mentioned these clothes.
Oh, I know, Purple. That's why.
What clothes was she wearing?
I'll take your
We put her
word.
into that tub.
She had a hoodie on, and she had her leggings on. That's
Did you leave that bathroom at some point while he was in there?
Yeah.
Why? Why'd you leave the bathroom?
because I needed to check on the kids, and I couldn't be in there anymore
And let's talk about that. What do you mean you couldn't be there in there anymore?
because I couldn't handle it. I didn't want to see anything.
How long was he in the bathroom for that day?
A few hours.
And that was with Harmony's body?
Yes.
At some point, did he close the door to the bathroom?
Yes.
Were you able to hear what he was doing in there?
No.
Were you able to? Why weren't you able to hear what he was doing in there?
Because our neighbor next door always had loud music playing, and I couldn't tell what noises were happening.
You mentioned the shower being on earlier.
Yes.
Did that shower stay on after you left the bathroom?
It was on when I left the bathroom, yes.
And did it stay on? Did he leave it on?
Yes.
Did he take breaks from what he was doing in the bathroom at any point?
No.
Did he leave the bathroom at any point?
No.
How many bags did you see in the bathroom with him?
3.
And what was happening with each of those bags?
He had lime in the bags.
So one of the bags was a bag of lime.
Yes.
Was it a large bag or a small bag?
They keep saying lime.
The
don't
bags that
they?
he was putting them in were large trash bags.
The bag that contains the lime, was that a large bag or a small bag?
It was a large bag.
A large bag of lime?
Yes.
You said that he was putting that lime into a bag.
Yes.
Was there anything else in the bag when he was putting the lime in?
No.
Did you see Harmony's body go into the bag?
No.
What happened to Harmony's body after it was in the bathtub?
It was in the CMC bag.
What did he do with the CMC bag?
Put Harmony in it.
What did he do with the lime that was in the bathroom?
It was in the big trash bags.
The lime was in the big trash bags?
Well, I know he put the lime in trash bags, but I didn't see that bag after.
Which bag did you not see after
The
that?
lime bag.
Did he also add lime to the CMC bag?
Yes.
Was he talking to you during this process?
No.
He was working.
Yeah.
At any point, did you see him remove Harmony's body from the bathtub?
No.
You mentioned earlier that he put Harmony's body back into the CMC bag.
Yes.
How do you know that he did that?
Because he put the bag back in the freezer after.
You mentioned garbage bags.
Yes.
What was he doing with the garbage bags in that bathroom?
He had the big garbage bags put in the CMC bag and had the lime in the bag.
And that clothing that you mentioned? You used scissors to cut off her clothing?
Yes.
What happened to her clothing? What happened to Harmony's clothes?
It was put in a trash bag.
Was anything else put into that trash bag with her or with the clothes?
Not that the duffel bag.
So you saw the duffel bag again after the fit shelter.
Yes.
And he disposes of the duffel bag,
And
and they put her in the maternity bag. I'll pull up some of the stuff because I know we skipped over some of that testimony. So he originally puts her in the duffel bag in the trunk of the car and keeps putting her out in the snow to keep her frozen or to reduce the smell and the decomposition. So she goes from this duffel bag from the trunk to the duffel bag in the snow. Towards the middle of December, they go and stay at her mom's house, and there's a cooler in the hallway. They keep her in just like an igloo cooler in the hallway at her mom's house. But her mom is not a big fan of them and doesn't really want them staying there. So they end up having to leave, and they go to it's a family in transitions shelter. So they call it a fit shelter. And so they put the duffel bag in the ceiling, and they show some of those photos too. I'll grab those so you guys can see them. So like there's bunk beds, and then up above this vent, he just puts this duffel bag straight up there. Let me find the other one because this is from the room, and you see this is from when you're up on top, you can see down, like this would be where the bag was sitting. So, and then he gets the job at the pie company, and so they end up moving into the apartment on Union, which we see get searched months and months later. But so what she's saying is that when they went to the apartment on Union, he takes the bag and he puts it in the refrigerator or in the freezer because he's still trying to keep it so that it doesn't smell. Because when they were at the fit shelter, the people who were also staying there were starting to complain about how bad it smelled because they weren't keeping it cold anymore. So when they moved to the apartment on Union, then he puts it back in the refrigerator. So now what she's talking about happening in the bathroom is actually from the apartment on Union. And here it is. So this would be the bathtub. So he gets the lye or the lime. I don't know. They keep saying lime, but I don't know if that would be the right one. But either way, we know what the point of it is. And he's essentially trying to compact her body into a smaller a smaller unit so that she fits inside of a different bag. And that to get rid of the decomposition. And so he does all this in this bathroom, and he takes the trash bags, and he's getting rid of her clothes. He gets rid of the original duffel bag. I believe when they were actually at the fit shelter, if I remember right, when it started to smell, they took it down and put her in trash bags back in the bag to kind of cover the smell before they put it back up in the vents at the fit shelter. So then they end up putting her in this bag, or a bag similar to this one. This is not the bag. They end up putting her in a bag similar to this one. And this is the one that they start to move around the city, so to speak. That she will talk about having, like, he tells her to like bring the like the duffel bag or this bag. Somebody will correct me on which one it is, to the pie company that he's working at so he can keep it in the cooler there. Yeah, but they keep calling it lime, right? Purple? I mean, you were there. Am I not hearing it correctly? I mean, the whole thing is horrendous. The whole thing is horrendous. I don't even know. I don't even want to remember it, honestly. Risa B, yeah, everybody. Yeah, they're not the same thing, but I think they keep calling it lime. This is not the duffel bag. No, they don't show us a picture, I don't think, of the duffel bag or a similar bag. I don't think they actually show us that. Limestone. Hi, LFT. It's horrendous. They are both evil. Yeah. So one of the original things that she says is when he's in the bathroom that she doesn't ever go in there. And so on cross-examination today, that's one of the things that she had, quote unquote, lied about, was that she never went in there. And then it's like, oh, wait, yeah, I did go in there. She slips up when she's testifying and says that she did go in there. And she actually saw Harmony and saw her body and saw the way that it was folded. Now, this is gross, but I'm going to tell you because this is what she fucking says. Saw the way that her body was folded in half and that he was essentially running the shower on hot water and trying to thaw her so that he could disintegrate her. So you think he was using lime just to cut down on the decomp odor and not actually lie trying to help her decompose faster? I don't know. But I know that that's going to end up coming up because they have the receipts for when he went and bought it. So I think we'll get more clarification on what she actually used. And this is why, no matter what, whether you think that he's actually the one who actually killed her or not, like, he's a horrendous piece of shit. They both are. This is why I'm like, I can't get it out of my head. Like, how do you even do all this? How do you even do this? He bought pelletized limestone from Home Depot. Okay. It does cut down on the odor. John Wayne Gacy used it. Oh gosh, fucking Gacy. See, Gambler, that's why I thought they actually used lye. Somebody asked about the uncle. Well, the uncle didn't actually see him hit her. What he saw was the black eyes after, and he did call it in. And CPS didn't give a shit. They didn't do anything. The reports even say that they went there. They saw a mark on her. They saw drug paraphernalia. They knew that he was using a generator and that the home had no electricity. And they didn't do anything. So the uncle tried. He called at minimum 2 times. He called twice to report them for drug use, for the living conditions, and then he called again for the abuse. Well, it's not first degree because they would not be able to prove it. Because the only proof they have that he actually killed her is Kayla's story. Unless they got something that I'm not aware of, which I tell you guys all the time, every trial does always have something that I'm not aware of. But as of right now, the only thing that we know in the public is her story is what says that he killed her. And his story is going to be that she killed her and then he helped cover it up. So they're going to essentially be telling on each other, and it's going to come down to whatever evidence that they have that we don't know yet. And then it's going to come down to whether the jury believes her or believes him, and if he even testifies. Okay, so I think that was all those pictures. Yeah. Okay, so let me go back over here because I want to. I think this one might only be. I want some of the cross because I think people are gonna miss what is being said. Oh yeah, Granny's Wife. I did. I watched the uncle, and we watched it at the beginning of this live. I was actually kind of pissed because I believed Crystal's story that the reason she wasn't at Harmony's custody hearing with Adam was because she was at the adoption hearing with Jameson. It's Lime. It is Lime. So they're saying it correctly. Hey, KW. Just got here. I'm late. You probably commented on Kayla's testimony, but I was curious about your thoughts on her testimony. This is what we're going back and forth on and whether it's believable. Here's my problem with her is I don't believe anything she fucking says. I don't believe her at all on anything. And so because I have an emotional attachment to this girl that I never met, but I do, and I think that this woman's a piece of shit. And so for me, it's a good thing I'm not on the jury because I don't believe her. I don't believe him. I don't believe her. And the jury's going to have to go through and they're going to have to parse this out into what parts do they believe, what parts can they support with the evidence that that is presented to them. Okay. I want to try to find, I want to find some of the cross because I think that his attorney would be very effective if she had a different personality. That sounds terrible, but I get what she's doing with her questioning, but I don't think she's actually coming across to the jury the way that she should if she's actually trying to create reasonable doubt and put it on Kayla. She's very slow. Kayla Montgomery's cross-examination.
Sitting on either your mother or Tabitha, right?
Right.
Um,
Because I don't remember not having them in the car.
okay. If I showed you a
The
copy
jury's
of the
basically
police
women.
report on that accident, would that help refresh your recollection of whether or not the kids were in the car?
Okay, so the whole cross-examination is to literally just show the jury that this woman is a liar. That's all it is. So every question that's asked is to show that she's a liar or that her memory is faulty, that she doesn't know things and what she thinks she knows is wrong and that she's a liar. the style or the questions in the cross-examination are very important, but her delivery is very lackluster, in my opinion. So, and then it's weird because apparently they can't.
So sometimes you wouldn't let him see the kids, and
They can't object out loud. They have to like silently object, like raise a hand or something, because that's why, and that's why there's a bunch of sidebars. They don't want the objections to be heard by the public, I guess. I don't know. Somebody can tell me. I've never heard of that. That's like very interesting to me.
sometimes you would.
I don't remember saying that he couldn't see the kids.
Okay. Sometimes you'd get mad at him,
Yes.
and you'd look at me, however, and I actually can't read it. To show you a copy of Exhibit A2 for ID and actually ask you what it says.
Absolutely.
You can look at me, however.
And I'm asking you if you said this stuff, if you need to refresh your recollection, you can, okay?
Okay.
So you said, I'm sorry, I can't
Can't
help
hear
you.
her.
Look at me, however.
Irritating.
Think of me, however. You just need to get him to talk because I can't get him to say anything to me. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me. And if he isn't telling me, how am I supposed to help you? I'm done talking. And then it goes on a little more for other stuff that I won't say. Okay.
Okay.
Is that what you read?
That's weird too. Other stuff that
You were
she
done
won't
talking,
say.
right?
And I remember it saying I want a lawyer.
You did, right? In that
Yes.
letter.
Yes.
And,
Oh shit! I missed the
you
part that I
said
wanted
that
you guys
were
to
done
hear
talking
on
and
the
you were getting your
on
lawyer and you had
direct.
to go home now, please, right?
Yes.
So,
crud. Hold on. Damn it. See if I can find it this way. I should have timestamped what I wanted you guys to hear, but I didn't. Does anybody happen to know the timestamp where she talks about the NutriBullet? Or even approximate timestamp?
You go to the Walmart to do.
To trade phones in for money.
Do you remember how many phones you traded in that day?
Like 3 or more.
Whose phones did you trade in?
She like looks
Mine.
over. It's towards the beginning. Is it really?
Did he come to the house after that interaction between Kevin and the defendant?
Yes.
Did you know at the time what the purpose of his visit was?
Yes.
What was it?
DCYF got called about the children not being taken
Sorry,
care of,
guys.
and that Adam was abusing his daughter.
When Mr. Soros arrived at your home, what did the defendant do
I
with
thought it was
Harmony?
towards the end too.
He left with her. He grabbed Harmony and left with her.
He grabbed her and left?
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with Demetrius that day?
Yes.
In that conversation, did you cover for the defendant?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
Was there a period in 2019 when you no longer lived at the house on Guilford Street?
Yes.
And tell us how that came to be.
We ended up getting evicted from the house in November of 2019, the day before Thanksgiving,
You go to the Walmart to do.
to trade phones in for money.
Do you remember how many phones you traded in that day?
like 3 or more.
Whose phones did you trade in?
Son of a
Mine
bitch. I'm gonna have to let it go
and
then.
Adams, and I don't know.
To a bag like that one.
Yes,
The duffel bag that he had initially put her in. What happened to that duffel bag?
he got rid of it because he said that if she's in the freezer, there wouldn't be any fluids or anything leaking.
At some point around that time, did you get tax returns, your tax refunds?
Yes,
Do you remember around when that was?
March, February or March
There's something I wanted to point out, so I wanted you guys to see it.
21
What was the purpose of your trip to your aunt's home?
to talk so that she could talk to my mother so that
After lunch is
she'll
crossed,
let us stay at her place.
and it's
What's your
on
mother's name?
direct.
Christina Lubin.
So if I understand, you wanted your aunt to talk to your mother?
Yeah.
Did you end up seeing your mother that day?
Yes.
How did you come to see her that day?
She came to pick us all up, myself, Adam, and the kids, the 2 boys,
Where was Harmony at that point?
in a duffel bag.
And how did your mother pick you up? How did she arrive at your aunt's home?
She came in her van.
And what happened to that
It's right
bag?
after break, and that's what you're
You
thinking.
said that
Johnny.
Harmony's body was beginning to smell, and that it was horrible.
Yes.
Did the defendant take measures to combat that smell?
Yes.
What did he?
Because he said that if she's in the freezer, there. He said that he was going to try and use a saw.
Here.
He wanted to use a hand saw or a NutriBullet.
Here, right here. There it is. Found it.
I want to unpack that.
Okay.
Did he tell you why he wanted you to leave her on there?
So that it wouldn't seem, it would just show that we still had her living with us.
You had it, Joni. It was right after the break, so you knew it was right after a break.
So you moved into your apartment on Union Street on February 20th. Is that what you said?
Yes.
And that's
Hey,
in
watch her
2020?
demeanor when
Yes.
she talks about what they're.
Where was he keeping Harmony at that point?
Watch her demeanor when they're talking to her about what the intent was to do to Harmony's body. Just watch how she talks.
In the refrigerator of our apartment.
And I asked you earlier, and I think you said he began to discuss dismembering Harmony.
Yes.
What did he say about dismembering her?
That
They're discussing dismembering her.
he just wanted to put her in, he would put her in pieces to get rid of her.
And was that at the Union Street apartment?
Yes.
That's where that discussion occurred?
Yes.
Did he ever discuss using tools on Harmony with you? Using tools on her body?
He said that he was going to try and use a saw. He wanted to use a hand saw or a NutriBullet.
And I want to unpack that.
He says says this a lot. And it's kind of irritating. I do think she's probably on something, but I mean, it doesn't stop her from showing emotion at other times. But I think that she definitely is on something regardless the entire time. But that's neither here nor there because, like I said, she shows emotion at other points, and here she just doesn't. They're talking about dismembering this baby girl, and she just has no emotion. Now, I thought this was really, and I don't know if she did it on purpose or not, but the defense attorney doesn't hear what she says. And so she has her repeat it, and she actually repeats it multiple times and has no emotion when she repeats it. And I think it was, to me, it felt like it was very intentional.
And a NutriBullet.
Right here.
NutriBullet.
Kayla, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6.
Like, you're talking about a NutriBullet and putting the remains of a partially decomposed 5-year-old girl into a NutriBullet. And that's your face. I'm sorry. That, to me, as soon as I saw that, I was like, what? You think she disassociated from what she saw? She has to be traumatized? Well, she cries, though, when they talk about going into the bathroom and that she cuts Harmony's clothes off. She cries about that, like cries about like what she did. Yeah, as in a blender, Jeanette. Yes. Yes. It's a little blender. I'll show you. Well, it's essentially a blender. You can get it in a full blender, or you could get it in like a single stir. But it's a blender in a NutriBullet. That's a NutriBullet. Yeah, she's just nonchalant about it. So that to me, I don't know, that stuck out to me. I don't know if it stuck out to you guys, but I was like, she has zero emotion around that she's talking, like what she's talking about, which is very, very different than when she talks about how scared she is of herself. And this is when I was saying earlier that I felt like she was more emotional when it came to what it came to her than when it came to Harmony.
$63 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize the item that's depicted in this exhibit?
Yes.
She'll
Can
start
you tell the
crying
jurors what
again.
it is?
It's a handsaw.
It's a handsaw.
Yeah.
Do you recognize this handsaw?
Yes.
When the defendant discussed dismembering Harmony, using tools on her,
Yes.
is this a saw that he discussed doing that
I
with?
sent you
Yes.
a timestamp. You better use
Is
it.
this an accurate representation of that saw?
I found it though.
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to strike ID. Marcus Full states exhibit 63 and published to the jurors.
Okay. The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
So this is the saw that he discussed using to dismember Harmony's body.
Yes.
That discussion again occurred at the Union Street apartment.
Yes.
No, you don't. You love me.
You talked about something else just then, and we barely caught it. You mentioned a NutriBullet.
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors what that is?
That's how I feel.
It's like a blender that you can make smoothies in, or any kind of puree food item.
What did the defendant?
It's like a smoothie maker. You can make puree out of it. Like, seriously? There's no. Is there nothing connecting in her brain on what she's actually talking about?
Say about using a NutriBullet, a blender on Harmony.
When we lived on Union Street,
What did he say about it?
he said that it would be good to use. It would help get rid of her.
It helped get rid of Harmony.
Yes.
Earlier, you mentioned the defendant talking about lime, the idea that what was his idea? What was his purpose of using lime?
That it would help her body decay.
That's what he told you?
Yes.
The electronic was been marked for identification as States Exhibit 62. Do you recognize this item?
Yes.
And what can you tell me about this item? Do you recognize anything?
All right, so this is interesting. Boss Lady says, I don't believe she's nonchalant about it. It's how she copes. My daughter's exactly the same. It's completely flat effect, self-protective emo mode. So I have to ask you then, because you bring this up, is what do you think of the strange change in emotion then? Because she has no problem crying about the, like, let's go back here. She has no problem crying here. Yeah, me too. Me too. Even after a food item. Yeah, it's just so like that's what it is.
Shortly after that,
Shortly after that, did he say anything to you when he stopped?
he said he thinks that he really hurt her. He felt something.
When he said that he thinks he really hurt her, where was the vehicle at that point?
At Burger King?
At the Burger King?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do after he stopped hitting Harmony, after he said, I think I really hurt her?
Nothing.
Did he order food from Burger King?
Yes.
Where was Adam when you were ordering food from Burger King?
In the driver's seat.
Did he go inside to the Burger King or something else?
No. I don't remember going in there.
Did he go through the drive-thru?
Yes.
And so who ordered the food?
Adam did.
And what did you do with the food that he had ordered?
Ate it, gave some to the kids
Where were you when you ate the food?
Ate it.
in the parking lot.
Ate it.
Which parking lot?
She ate the food, and she gave some to the kids. And this is where she's crying. So this was my question: is so antidepressants on board from earlier? They're wearing off at this point. So her crying is earlier, FYI, and then the NutriBullet comment is later. So I'm showing you backwards, just to show you like where she is crying. So you can see the tears. You can see a tear there, right? I mean, there's a little tear, but then she doesn't cry anymore. That's when, so she talks about the NutriBullet and she doesn't cry. So this is what I'm wondering, like, is that normal? I really, like, I hope like a behavior panel hops in and goes, let's look at her testimony and see about this whole, like, about a baseline. Is this her baseline? Is the other one her baseline? Because we've seen her testify at his other trial too. So she talks about, like, she just sat there and ate it.
Okay.
Now, the kids were behind you at that point.
Yes.
Is that what you testified to?
Yes.
And who
Yep.
gave them food?
I did.
That's where I'm at too,
Did
Granny.
you see Harmony when you were giving them food?
No.
Why not?
Because she was under the blanket.
Who put her under the blanket?
Adam.
That's the same blanket that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
The same blanket he would cover her with?
Yes.
Where did you go from the Burger King parking lot, Kayla?
Went back to Colonial Village
And how did you get there?
with the vehicle. Adam driving.
Was Harmony still under the blanket when you arrived at Colonial Village?
Yes.
And that moaning that you mentioned, that weird noise that she was making, was she still making it?
No.
How long did that noise that she was making last?
Uh,
Do you think that maybe it's possible? You guys are saying like they went on break and then she comes back and now she's medicated from the break. I don't know. I guess maybe. I don't know. Then she comes back here on cross-examination and she's got a much different attitude. I think her baseline is monster too. I'm in agreement with you. Why would they medicate her? Well, I also don't know if she would still be on any type of a methadone or anything like that. I mean, she's been in prison now prison for a year. That's probably where I feel that's how I feel about it. Vanessa,
I don't remember saying that he couldn't see the kids.
Okay.
you think
Sometimes
opposite.
you get mad at him,
Yes.
and you
Look at her!
communicate your
Look at
anger
her!
to him,
Look at her! Look at the
Yes.
defense attorney.
and then sometimes you got jealous,
Yes.
and you'd communicate your jealousy to him.
But that I didn't know that he was with a girlfriend at those times.
Right. You just were jealous. Is that right?
Okay, so to go to this timeline, you have to remember in March of 2021 when he hits her, she leaves, calls the police, he goes to jail. She goes to stay with her mom, and her mom ends up actually getting a restraining order against Adam. She doesn't really want it. She still wants to go see him, and she still talks to him all the time. He ends up going to a recovery place, and he has a couple different recovery places he ends up going to, and she's still seeing him, still talking to him. Now, yesterday they had one of the girls that he was actually in rehab with, who he had started seeing romantically, and so they're talking about how she's jealous here. He doesn't stay with that other girl. He ends up going with the young lady, Kelsey Small, who when they actually meet up with him to talk to him about Harmony, he's living in a car with her. So here's some irony for you. Kelsey Small ends up passing away in 2022 from a drug overdose at a motel. The motel where she ends up passing away at is the same motel where Kayla goes to stay with Adam and their two friends who rent the U-Haul. It's the same motel. Okay, so maybe it's just like some type of like a Xanax or something. I don't know. I believe she's like a Letitia Stout. Her still loving Adam despite the fear is typical with some DV survivors. So, would you still so she leaves him though. So it's like she gets the balls to leave because he hurt her, and then she still wants to keep going back. She's still jealous that he's dating other people. Now, this is one of my big questions on this whole, that he had some type of power over her or she was afraid of him. Wouldn't he be trying to do everything to keep her close to him? Instead, he leaves the state. He goes and starts dating other women and just says, see ya. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Hey, Lord, do we know why he's only charged with second degree? Because they can't prove that he actually, for one, I don't think they're going to be able to prove he did it. I think they're going to struggle with that. I don't know. We don't know what evidence they have yet, but I think they're going to struggle with it because of her. And then they can't prove any type of premeditation. So the best they can do for charging purposes to get a jury to agree with them. DV survivors doesn't think rationally. So you have that, then you have drug use, and then you have just fucking disaster. And this is what we end up with. Domestic violence, Kathy. No, she never does. She finally gets away from him. He's moves on, leaves, and she doesn't care to tell anybody still.
Okay. Whether it was Kelsey or not, you didn't know what was going on, but
Because
So when they contact her to find out where the heck Adam is, she's like, yeah, I don't know. I can't get a hold of him, blah, blah, blah. And then they leave. And then she does end up calling him and gets him to come back from Maine to New Hampshire because she's like, I'm not going to do this by myself. I'm not dealing with all this shit on my own. Like, you're going to have to come back. So he comes back, but he comes back with his new girlfriend. And then they go and they take all these phones, and I believe there's actually video of it too. They take all these phones into Walmart to trade them out for cash. And so now she's with him and his new girlfriend doing this. So they're talking about her being jealous. They're talking about that she finally realizes she doesn't tell anybody. She leaves him in March. She still wants to talk to him. She helps him get into the rehab center, so on and so forth, or travel to the rehab center. She thinks that he's dating other people, but she doesn't know. And then when he comes back from Maine, she now knows that he's got another girlfriend. So the defense is really trying to push like, oh, interesting. Now you know he's actually got another girlfriend, and now you have no problem, flipping on him because he gets arrested January 5th of 2022. She gets arrested January 6th of 2022. I think it's absolutely possible, but I think he's a piece of shit too. So I think what she's saying is possible, but yeah, come home. Instead, she could be like, yeah, this is exactly where that piece of shit is. But I know you guys are saying like, she can't move on because she's still in love with him. And this is very common for DV survivors. Toxic relationship. I don't know. I know. I'm telling you, I'm very biased in this situation. So I have a hard time having any pity or any thought of her being a victim. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I just look at her and I think,
he was accusing me too.
right,
So,
right.
he was accusing me.
The back and forth.
He was accusing me too of being with other people.
And you get mad at him, or he might get mad at you, right?
yes.
But when things were, but you were actually both of you sort of trying to get together too, right?
Yeah, we were trying to have our family back together.
You considered him your best friend when things were good.
And
Yes.
AW,
And
she may have fought harder if it was one of her own kids, but because it was Harmony, I think that's why one of the reasons she didn't care. My hoodie says the only victim in this is Harmony. That's absolutely true. Guilty. Throw it. Well, yeah, now they won't. Well, I think of it this way. Adam threatened her mom and dad. What if he threatened killing their children? But she got away from him with the children. So that's where I'm stuck at. If she was still in the home with him and was, I would think I would have more empathy towards that. But she'd gotten away from him for almost a year. They hadn't been living together for almost a year.
Right. But you two were pretty connected when things were good, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes even when things were not so good.
Right.
Pretty solid with each other.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so when Adam showed up with this woman in December of 2021, when you called him and told him to come back, you didn't like her.
No.
I think you called her thing.
Yeah.
But you needed to work with Adam to get through this investigation, right?
That's not why I was being nice to him. Was not because of this situation.
Okay. The police talked to you before you told Adam to come back, but they talked to you after you told Adam to come back too, right?
Yeah.
And you would tell the police that he took Harmony to his mother's.
Yes.
And one time they asked you to come.
Another thing that really irritates me about this freaking defense attorney is she screws up all the time. And by screwing up so much, she continues to lose the point that Harmony was taken to his mother. She ends up saying something like where he died, like where Adam died. And then she's like, sorry, I mean, Harmony died. Like, come on. Like her strategy makes sense, but her delivery is so bad. And I'm like, she's a terrible, maybe she was good in her prime, but she's not a very good attorney at this point.
Come into the police station and talk to him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally
And you
different
did go into
person
the
now.
police station and talk to him, right?
Yes.
Now
You
she's
went
not
in
crying.
voluntarily,
Now
right?
she's not all
Yes.
You said
lethargic.
that you didn't need a lawyer.
No. I never said
She's
that.
combative.
You said you talked to him without a lawyer, right?
I said I wanted a lawyer, but that didn't happen.
Oh,
But I felt
You
like I was
can,
doing the
because
right
she's on the
thing.
defense side. They can lead a
because you
little
wanted
bit
to do the
more.
right thing?
Yes.
If it's not
So
their
you
own
went to the
witness.
police station to do the right thing for the investigation.
Right.
And you went to the police station to do the right
I
thing for
mean, I'm
Harmony.
so glad that you
Right.
did, though. I'm so
And you
glad
went
you
to
got
the
away.
police station and told them that as far as you knew, Adam drove Harmony to Crystal's.
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing, which was to lie?
No, that's not what I said when I went to the police station without a lawyer.
Okay. Do you recall that after you talked to them for a very long time, they gave you a chance?
Mm.
It was the
And
same way with me too.
right, but you two were pretty in, and you handed them the note, right?
Yes.
And they read the note, right?
Yes.
And they read it out loud for the record.
Yes.
And they had you sign the note, right?
Yes.
And in that note, you said, I don't know what happened. No clue. I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning.
Yes.
And you wrote, I'm done talking. And you wrote a little bit more. And then you said, I can't help anymore. I'm sorry. I can't help you. Look at me, however. And I
like how the defense attorney comes in, though, and she's like, so you went to the police to do the right thing. And then you went there to do the right thing for Harmony. And you went there to tell them what happened. And then you went there and you lied. And she's like, yes, I did. And she's like, was that the right thing? She's like, I was doing the right thing. And then, but everything she says while she's there is bullshit.
To show you a copy of Exhibit A2 for ID and actually ask you what it says.
Word. You can.
Made you look completely innocent.
Yes.
Okay. And then they came to you another time
Yes.
while you were at the Fit shelter,
Yes.
and they wanted to ask you about Adam, right?
Yes.
Because they actually saw you and Adam talking outside of the Fit shelter, and Adam had just walked away, and they came up, right?
I don't remember how that went, but I guess
Okay. Pretty much right after Adam walked
You
away,
feel
they
like
walked
she's
up,
being
right?
attacked,
I
boss
don't
lady?
remember that.
Okay.
I didn't really feel like she was
When they
being
told you
attacked.
that they wanted to talk about Adam, you just sort of smiled at him.
I didn't
and
think this
walked away,
defense
right?
attorney was very good on the attack,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
And
So maybe that's why I
when
didn't feel that way.
the officer asked you to come to the police department, you said you'd already told him everything, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie as well, right? And then during that interview, you also told them that you didn't understand why Crystal was saying she didn't have harmony.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that, and what you told the police back then was that you didn't have a clue what had happened, right?
Right.
And again, you are distancing yourself so that you have no fault in this, right? They can't blame you.
That's not what I was doing. I was doing what I was told to do the whole time.
Okay. Well, Adam got arrested on January 5th, right?
Yes.
You got arrested on January 6th.
Yes.
You knew that Adam was arrested, right?
Yes.
And you were arrested for something that eventually became a theft charge, right?
Yes.
And
You can't
after
bring
you
it
were
up.
arrested, you were incarcerated.
Yes.
You were incarcerated for several months
Yes.
and you wanted to get out.
Yes.
You worked very, very hard to get out, right?
Yes.
You worked very hard to get into rehabilitation shelters and the like in hopes that you could get out to the shelter on bail.
Yes.
And it took a long time, right?
Yes.
I think it was May 6th you finally got out.
Yeah. It was
Hi,
4 months.
hybrid.
Pardon?
4 months.
Okay. So May 6th is about right.
Yes.
I want to talk about some of the things going on while you were in jail, waiting to get out. Adam, by the way, you knew was not out on bail,
That's
right?
fair.
Right.
And you knew he could not get out on bail, right?
Right.
You had the ability to get out on bail, but he did not.
I didn't know he didn't have a chance to get out on bail.
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on with him.
Okay. What do you mean you didn't know what was going on?
I didn't know what his situation was with either getting out or not getting out or trying to get out. I had no idea.
Okay. You were sort of following events while you were incarcerated, right?
Not really.
Okay. You were following what was going on with Adam while you were incarcerated, right?
I don't know.
Do you remember talking to people about the fact that Adam was still talking to Kelsey on the phone while he was incarcerated?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you were saying, you know, I have ways of finding things out, right?
No.
Okay. We'll get back to that in a second. During that period of incarceration that you wanted to get out, you did not
How it goes,
tell the
libertarian.
police
How it
the truth
goes.
of what happened to Harmony, right?
Right.
You didn't tell the police how Harmony died.
Right.
You didn't tell them when she died.
Right.
You didn't tell them anything truthful at all, right?
Right.
And then while you were in jail, you sort of thought about your own trouble and maybe how to get out of trouble, right?
Not just my own trouble, but okay.
What do you mean?
I don't know how to explain it.
You thought about missing the kids, you mean? Their trouble too, because they didn't have their mother?
Yeah. And Adam. I was still thinking about Adam too.
Okay. You were thinking about Adam, weren't you?
Yeah.
And while you were thinking about how to get out of trouble, you sort of wrote some of your thoughts down on paper about how to get out of trouble, right?
Not how to get out of trouble, just what I was thinking. Yes.
About what you wanted while you talked about.
Somebody asked about men. I'll tell you, anybody who does follow like Delphi has more men that follow that case than any other case I've seen. I don't know what it is about the Delphi case, to be honest with you, but yeah, there's I mean there's a few men, but it's nothing. No men follow cases like they follow Delphi. I don't know what it is.
Betraying Adam, right?
Right.
To get what you wanted, right?
No.
Okay.
Right, Laura? Yeah, apparently she
I'll show
gets the
you a
choice.
copy
No, you won't get in
of
trouble for
what
that. She's
is
allowed it.
marked for ID as G10. Let's see if you recognize these writings.
Maybe that's what it is, Jenny. And they should. He should absolutely have to be there. But that's how I feel. I think that's fair too. I think it's fair. I survived drug, gang, crime-infested neighborhood, my brother's murder, DV, rape, and never touched a drug. 9 deaths in 4 months. Holy shit. 3 days of zero sleep got me drinking. 3 years sober. I'm 54. That's a lot.
You finished?
Yeah.
Do you recognize those writings?
Yes.
And those are writings of your thoughts that you put to paper about what you wanted to betray Adam, right?
No. They are my thoughts. Yes.
Well, let's go. One of the things that you wanted was one last time with Adam, right?
Here, this
Right.
one gets me.
You wanted one last time to maybe kiss him or make love.
Yep.
And what you didn't write was that you wanted protection from Adam, right?
Right.
What you didn't write was that you were afraid of Adam, right?
Right.
Because you didn't.
Right. So she's in jail. He's in jail. And she's writing about how she wants to have one last kiss and one last time to make love to him and one last time to be with him. She doesn't talk about being afraid of him. She doesn't talk about being thankful that she's away from him. She talks about how much she wants to be with him. Now, I know that some of you guys are saying it's hard for me to wrap my mind around, I guess, because I don't get it.
Didn't want protection from Adam, right?
I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay. You just wanted to be with him one last time before you, as you put it, betrayed him, right?
Yes.
And having one last time with Adam before you talked to the police, you felt like he would understand and he would love you back, right?
No, I'm thinking about the conversation that him and I had before
About?
about the kids still having their mother
Okay.
when the situation occurs,
Right.
and that he would take everything.
This is a big deal right here. And if the jury's paying attention, this is going to be a big deal to them. They had a conversation where Adam says, I'll take all the responsibility because the kids need their mother. And this is coming from her, not from him.
Yeah.
So that I could be with the kids.
Right. You two talked about that and what would happen. And you both agreed that you were the mother. You were more important to the kids, right?
Right.
That you were the mother of his children, right?
Right.
And you needed to be there for his children, right? And you needed to be around more than he needed to be around.
No.
You actually wanted him to not be caught, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
Pardon?
I didn't.
And you wanted him to not be blamed for the death
Right.
because he didn't do what you said he did.
He did do what he did.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you wanted, other than being alone one last time, was immunity. Immunity for everything, the charges you were facing and what you were about to say, right?
Right.
And it's what you were about to say about Adam, right?
Right.
You weren't going to say anything about you if you didn't have to, right?
I was going to say everything.
Okay. And you wanted the kids in your life. You didn't want to lose custody of your kids, right?
Right.
And you wanted treatment, right?
Right.
You wanted mental health counseling, right?
Right.
And immunity from everything. Where did you learn about immunity? For
Adam.
Adam told you about
From
immunity?
Adam.
Yeah.
Learned about immunity from Adam and how she could get immunity. This is like the defense attorney's, her strategy is very good. Her delivery, I just don't know if they're listening because she's boring.
And this is things that you're going to talk to your lawyer about.
Yes.
Okay. And you thought that you want to see what the AG has to offer, but you don't want to end up being screwed yourself by them, right?
Right.
You didn't want them to play games with you and then you would get fucked in the end, right?
Yeah, because that's what Adam said that they would do.
Okay. It was all Adam, right?
I am my own person, but yes.
Okay. And
Let me see
you
what
said,
in the case that they get caught, he did what he did. She was an accomplice. This is before they were arrested. I get it. Why can anyone else see that it doesn't mean it was Kayla? I don't know if it necessarily, I'm not sold that it was Kayla. I just don't believe her. I know that's why I said this at the very beginning of this live. This is going to be very, she's just a liar. I think she's a convicted liar. And her plea deal is for the perjury charges. You know, she gets everything else knocked down, like, ooh, she got a little theft. No, she was stealing money for a dead child that she knew was dead. I mean, so yeah, that. I mean, just like, I don't know. I just don't, I hate that she's not accountable to shit. I don't care. They can convict him, throw away the key, because he's garbage too. But for me, I just don't get, like, she's just so nonchalant, like that, like of her part in it.
I am so fucked. I should just, I don't know, for Harmony, for me, for my kids, for So you actually thought, maybe I will help with the investigation
Oh,
for
thanks,
Harmony.
Meme.
Yeah.
And
That's right. That's where I'm at.
one of the things is you were noticing that Seamus was having a hard time, as well as Declan, and you didn't want them to get adopted out, right?
Right.
And it's one of the things that you talked to
That's
Adam
right.
about when you two agreed not to talk about Harmony's death, was that people would take the children.
Right.
And you didn't want people to take
That
the children,
statement and
right?
your statement are
Right.
so true.
And you would rather hide Harmony's death than have the state come and take the children from you, right?
That's not what I was thinking.
Okay. But you two talked about it and how important it was for you to be there with the kids and for them not to take the children, right?
Yes.
And it is a conversation that you and Adam had after you discovered Harmony's death.
Yes.
And it is something that you agreed to after you discovered Harmony's death, right?
Yes.
And Adam did agree to take the fall after you discovered Harmony's death and had that conversation.
Yes.
And as you said, when you two were in sync, it was about as tight as it could be, right?
Right.
Best friends, do anything for the other.
Right.
That note was your thoughts for what you wanted your attorney to talk to the AG about, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
And that note was found in your cell, hidden like between the mattress and the frame?
No, it was in a book.
Okay. But it was found during a regular cell search, right?
She never takes any accountability. And that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not even, her plea deal doesn't even have to do with her part in what happened. Like, that is infuriating to me too. Like, she's admitting that she did all of this stuff, and it's just like, all right, well, we'll get you a deal for lying and for stealing money.
Yes.
And the COs asked you about that note.
Yes.
And you said that you wanted to talk to the AG.
Yes.
And when you hope to talk to the
I see this too, unsolved crimes. I see this too. My problem is I don't believe her. And I know that there are people who do. There are people who think that she's telling the truth, and there are people who think that that's exactly what went down. For me personally, they're going to have to show me some evidence that actually supports what she's saying. Because for me, she's just a lying piece of shit. That's where I'm at with her. And there ain't nothing. The only way I'm going to believe her is when they start to show me the evidence that backs up what she says. No, she's not out of prison yet. She got a year and a half, so she's been in for a little over a year. She's almost done. It probably is. It probably is a mixture of some truth and some lies. It probably is. But that's what I'm like. I will not take anything she says at any type of face value. So I'll believe the parts that they actually have something that will back it up. But one thing she proved was the ceiling tile. They found Adam's handprint. Yeah. I think that at this point, I think we both we know now that both of them were involved in hiding her, in destroying the evidence, in abuse of a corpse, in tampering with evidence. I think we know now that they're both totally involved in that. Yeah, they could. Yeah, easily. Well, I think that's what's going to happen. Now, does that mean that they'll end up back together? No. I think that's what most people are thinking that she's telling the truth about, is how she died. That Adam beat the shit out of her and it killed her, and then they hit her. Yeah, he already pled guilty to that. She doesn't have to because she's not even charged with it. Rambling. She never says she loved Harmony, ever. Nope. Ironically, he does. He talks about how much he loved his daughter.
AG, those were the conditions that you wanted to get.
Yes.
And you did not have a conversation with the AG in January, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in February, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in March, right?
Nope.
But you did get a subpoena for the grand jury,
Yes.
and you understood what the grand jury was.
Yes.
And you did get out May 6th, right? That was
Yes.
before the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you still didn't talk to the AG before you went to the grand jury.
Right.
Chris, I don't think so. I don't. I've never seen her plea deal. I don't even know if it's actually public, but I don't think so. I unless they could prove that she's lying, if she gets up here and lies and they can go that route, then her plea deal would be null and void. But I don't even know what her plea deal actually consists of. And maybe somebody in chat does, but I don't.
By the way, I would like to have that introduced as a full exhibit. That would be G for ID.
It's so well put, Libertarian. Drugs explain the neglect and the abuse. DV can explain the staying, but nothing explains participating in dismembering a child. That is so well put. Way less of a crime, doing way more time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she knows exactly where they are because she stayed at the hotel, but I think she probably has a very good idea. One of the other things that they talk about here, and I'm going to wrap it up soon because I know we've been on for over 2 hours, but one of the other things that the defense attorney talks about was the relationship between Kayla and Adam and how they essentially considered each other like best friends. And they told each other everything, like at the best of times, the bond was unbreakable. And I would be surprised that she doesn't have an idea of where the baby or where Harmony is. Now she probably doesn't exactly know, and this is gonna sound really bad, but I'm not sure that Harmony is in one place. I mean, after everything that they did to dismember her, to make her more compact, I would not be surprised if he put her in multiple places, making it much harder to find her. You gotta also remember she's tiny. She was like 35 pounds, 5 years old. So I don't even know if they would be able to. I don't think she's in one spot. Yeah, okay, you don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think she's in one spot. They had, well, parts of her were down the drain. They had to call the plumber or the maintenance guy for the apartment on Union Street to come and snake the bathtub after everything they did in the bath. So, and this is where my concern comes in, because I do believe that most of the evidence that we're going to be presented with is going to have to do with that. It's going to have to do with what happened in the bathroom. It's going to have to do with what happened at the fit center in the ceiling. It's going to have to do with the refrigerator that they took out of the apartment. It's going to have to do with those types of things. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to show anything about how or where she actually died. Under the terms of the deal, Kayla Montgomery will face back-to-back sentences of 3.5 to 7 years, but a total of 5 years of her minimum sentence will be suspended unless she breaks terms of agreement. Okay, so that's where the 1.5 years comes in. Travis, you're so smart. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. Somebody else thinks that he just like put her in the harbor. Yeah, they did a sewer search. They took that refrigerator. They went and searched the wetlands. I mean, there's a couple different things that there's a potential that they have something that we don't know that they have. Yeah, skin and bones, I bet. But the other thing that is in that document, and I don't mean to be gross, but she says that when she went into the bathroom, she could still tell that it was Harmony. She could still see her face. Ah, me
The
too.
objection is
Me
withdrawn.
too.
Exhibit G, the ID is stricken. It is entered as a full exhibit.
That's okay. It's okay to think that she's told the truth. I ain't mad at you. That's why I said I know that I have bias because I can't see any of her truth. She's gonna definitely need supporting evidence for me to believe anything she says ever. Kayla doesn't know. That's one of the things that they say is that he didn't tell her because he didn't want her to.
So in any event, you, after that note was seized, you asked to talk to the AG. You didn't talk to the AG before getting subpoenaed to the grand jury. But
Piper, it's bad.
Right?
Yes.
And before you got out, you actually filed.
Piper, we're only on the second day of testimony. That's why I said the only positive in this trial is that they haven't found her, so they're not going to be discussing. There's not going to be an autopsy. There's not going to be photos. We're not going to have any of that. That's the only. To say that that's positive is it like I don't know. It's not even the right word, but I think you know what I mean. It's like that's the only. I don't know.
Filed for divorce, right?
Yes.
Yes,
For divorce
Randy.
in March.
It was the first thing I thought of when I read that.
And you were done. Right?
They kept their food in the refrigerator. Think of this. When they moved out, the people who moved in had the same refrigerator. They used that refrigerator. Like makes me want to vomit.
As hard as it was, yes.
Okay, done. Give us in your past now.
Not really, but
But your future was about you now, right?
yeah, tried.
Okay. And you went to the grand jury in May of 2022, May 20th, actually, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a catch.
I didn't know it was in the same month that I got out, but I thought it was around that time, between May and June.
Okay. If I showed you a copy of the front of the transcript of your testimony, would that help refresh your recollection about when it was?
Yes.
Okay. And this is State's Defendant's Exhibit B for ID. Does that refresh your recollection? Yes, please feel free to check through the transcript to make sure. It's correct.
Yeah, it was the same fridge. Oh, I did. That's one of the ones I didn't show you. The pie company closed, so I don't know if they ever got the pie company freezer, because I know it closed down. But I know that they have people who are going to testify to seeing him going in and out with that. And then here's another thing about Kayla, and in case we didn't talk about this earlier, is that when he asked her to bring the bag, they don't have the car anymore. They've sold the Sebring because they didn't have any money, so they have no vehicle. So she has to walk. She walks with her kids. And the bag with Harmony's remains from the apartment to the pie company. In my opinion, Travis, it hinged on Kayla's testimony because they couldn't prove that he did anything besides besides potentially disposing of her and tampering with evidence, which is what he ended up pleading to. Granny, I'm going to say the kind that ends up getting closed down 2 months after they hired him. Yeah, we watched them take the fridge out. Do I have that picture? And they did bring in a new fridge that same day for the tenants. Yeah, in the stroller, right next to her 2 boys. And let's not forget that she only had 2 boys. She got pregnant with another child while Harmony's remains were decomposing in their home. Actually, I think she got pregnant at the Fit Center, to be honest with you, if I had to go back and calculate. So she ends up having another child. So they have 3 kids together.
I remember I remember going to this, yes.
Okay. And looking Yeah, it doesn't refresh your recollection about the exact day, but it seems like around the,
Yes.
okay. Now, when you went to the grand jury, you had no immunity, right?
Right.
You had no agreement with the state.
Right.
And about 2 years, over 2 years had passed since Harmony had died.
Yes.
And over 2 months had passed since you wrote that note that is Exhibit G of the conditions that you'd like to get for, quote, betraying Adam, right?
Yes.
And so you went to the grand jury
Yes.
and you were advised that you had to tell the truth, right?
So this is
They
when she
actually
gets
swore-
into back to back to back. Yeah, 3 kids together according to who? Her. Yeah, 3 kids together. 2 boys and a girl. Yeah, that is some haunting, eerie shit that she gets pregnant with the girl. They had 2 boys. So this is when she starts going at her about the grand jury. So she gets 2 perjury charges for lying to the grand jury. And so the defense attorney, once again, like I said, I appreciate her strategy. It's her delivery that I don't think that is going to catch the jury's attention. But she goes, yeah, I only got charged with 2, so I think I only lied twice. So the defense attorney goes through a laundry list of all the things she actually lied about to the grand jury. And then she should have really nailed this part home, but she missed the boat. And she's like, so looking in a jury's eyes didn't stop you from lying to them. And I don't think that anybody was overly paying attention to that part, because one of the things that the prosecutor had her do was look at the jury and tell them. And now she's coming back on the back end and saying, yeah, so looking in the jury's eyes and lying didn't mean shit to you.
Were you in like you were sworn in here?
Yes.
And there was a prosecutor there asking you questions.
Yes.
And there was a group of people, not in this configuration, but probably even more people there that were the grand jury.
Yes.
And you were not particularly happy with Adam when you went to the grand jury, right?
I was stuck in my head.
Okay.
I'm stuck in my head.
Well, you lied to the grand jury, right?
Yes.
Even though you swore an oath to tell the truth.
Yes.
And not only did you swear an oath to tell the truth, but you were actually given, I think what they called ground rules. You remember being given some of the rules of testifying in front of the grand jury?
Yes.
And you were told that you could refuse to answer any question if it would incriminate you, right?
Yes.
And you understood what incriminating you would mean, right?
Yes.
And that meant if it would get you in trouble.
Yes.
And you were told that incrimination was pretty much if your answer would risk you being charged with a crime.
Yes.
And you were also told that if you did answer, you had to answer truthfully.
Yes.
But you were also told that if you had an answer that got someone else in trouble, you had to answer that.
Yes.
And you were asked if you had any questions about those rules, right?
Yes.
And you were also told that if you had a question about any of the questions,
Yes.
meaning if a question might incriminate you or not, you could take a break, step outside and talk to your lawyer, right?
Yes.
Your lawyer wasn't allowed in the courtroom, but he was available to you, right?
Yes.
And if you thought that a question might get you in trouble, you could go out and talk to your lawyer.
Yes.
And you were also told that you could get charged with perjury if you lied to the grand jury.
Yes.
You were told that not only could you get charged with perjury if you lied to the grand jury, but you could get charged with perjury for each and every lie.
Yes.
And that a perjury charge could bring a sentence of 3.5 to 7 years
Yes.
in prison.
Yes.
And that if you lied more than once, you could get more than one sentence of 3.5 to 7.
Yes.
You could get a sentence of 3.5 to 7 for every lie you told to the grand jury.
Yes.
And you lied to the grand jury.
Yes.
And
So she'd get a sentence of 3.5 to 7 years for every lie she told to the grand jury.
once,
Yes.
you lied more than twice.
I only got 2 counts of it, so I don't remember lying more than twice.
You do not recall lying more than twice to the grand jury.
Right.
You think you only lied twice to them.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go through what you talked to the grand jury about.
So I said good
They
strategy
actually
here. I
talked to
hope you're
you. The
listening.
prosecutor
Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't want him to get off.
had this note. to the
Yes.
grand jury, right?
That was a
I
conflict.
couldn't
Because I
tell.
actually
Is
don't
this
want
note
him to get
that
off.
was handed
Maybe
by you or was it
I'm
a copy
okay
of
with them not
It was a
listening.
copy of it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm torn
he
now.
had He read some and had you read some of the note out loud to the grand jury so he could ask you questions about it, right?
Yes.
And he asked you what you meant by thinking about betraying Adam, right?
Yes.
And you said you were thinking about, that he hurt Adam, Harmony, right? Because he had on June 5th for second-degree assault to Harmony.
Yes.
And you said that betrayal also referred to that. You were going to betray him on that.
Yes.
Okay. Because you said that you didn't know what happened to Harmony, that you had no idea.
Yes.
That was a lie.
Yes.
And you said you thought Adam hurt her, but you didn't know what happened to her.
Yes.
That was a lie.
Yes.
And that was a lie that protected you, but pointed the finger at Adam, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked about physical abuse by Adam,
Can't.
Yes.
and you said he spanked her a couple of times when she wasn't listening or something, but it wasn't a lot.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
No.
And when they asked, well, what is it that you're talking about betraying him? You said, well, he verbally abused her by putting her in a corner and spanking her.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
No.
Okay. You told the grand jury that the last time you saw Harmony was 2 days after Thanksgiving, 2019.
Yes.
Was that a lie?
Yes.
You told them that Adam dropped you off at work because he was bringing her to her mother's.
Yes.
Was that a
So there's no way, in my opinion, that they would charge her without additional evidence. So they're not going to, if he does get off, you're not going to see her charged without them having to have something else to back it up. Because of everything that's presented here at this trial, they would use it the exact same way. They'd be like, well, wait a minute, now you're saying it was her, but everything else you said pointed to him. The only way they would be able to do it is if they had something concrete that showed she did it. And I'm not even sure I believe she did it. He probably did it. Like I said, I think they're both garbage, and so I when I say, like, I hope that the jury's paying attention, I probably like I said, I probably don't, because I don't want him to go free either. I don't know. That's why I'm like, it's a conundrum.
lie?
Yes.
And you said all the kids were in the car. You were going to work and everybody was fine.
But-
Was that a lie?
But he's already pled to that. That's the problem. Is I think that they're going to have. They both have openly admitted to the tampering and all of that, and abuse of the corpse and hiding it, and they already know that part. So I don't know how much that's going to weigh in, because they don't even get to decide on that. Jury doesn't get to decide on that now. He already took the plea. Yeah, that's where we're gonna have a problem, because she's a liar. Yeah. That she received the plea deal, the deal she did at this stage. No, there were reasons doing it, but fear, gracious, and fury. Yes. She opened and closed the refrigerator door. She used the bathroom where they likely cut up Harmony. Yeah. Well, she admits that she admits going in there and cutting Harmony's clothes off of her body. So they do. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't. That's why I'm like, I had to take back what I was saying, because I'm like, I don't. It's so infuriating to me. Because I don't want him to get away with it, because he's absolutely guilty.
You said that you worked in the morning. You knew it was. They asked you about your shift, and you said it was 6 to 2 at Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yes.
And
she's just going through the
that
entire
was
list
the
of
truth for
every
when you worked at
single
Dunkin'
lie
Donuts, but it was a
he told.
lie for 2 days after Thanksgiving, right? You didn't work at Dunkin' Donuts 2 days after Thanksgiving,
Right.
and that was one of the lies
Oh,
that you got charged with.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, but you had lied before that, right? To the grand jury already.
Yes.
And then you also said the day that you were working on at the Dunkin' Donuts, and that was your second charge.
Yes.
So you got charged for lying about the shift that you worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and you got charged for lying about
It was the location.
the location, not the
Yes,
day.
yes.
Okay. The location of Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yes.
But not all those other lies that we've already talked about. You didn't get charges for them, right? And when you told the grand jury that you were working at Dunkin' Donuts that day, the prosecutor actually gave you And he said, "Are you sure?" And you said, "Yeah." Right.
Yes.
And he said, "Take a minute and think because we had the records." Right.
Right.
And you repeated the lie anyway.
Yes.
And but you knew that they knew at that point that you might be lying.
Yes.
You knew that you might be getting caught,
Yes.
and you didn't know what to do.
No, I did not.
So you just continued in your lie.
Yes.
And so you said that you had a conversation with Adam, and he told you a day or two before taking Harmony to her mother that he was going to do that, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes.
And you said that
I didn't realize that. I'll have to look at that, Star. Thank you.
you figured he gave her to her mom because her mom, Crystal, had a place.
Yes.
You didn't figure he gave her to her mom.
No.
You knew that she had died,
Yes.
and she had died in the car.
Yes.
She died in the car with you,
Yes.
and you knew it.
Yes.
And so when you said you're trying to convince the grand jury that you're telling the truth, right?
Right.
Because every time you lie to them, you are subject to 3.5 to 7.
Right.
And so you want them to believe you.
Right.
And then you tell them that one of the reasons that you didn't think about what was going on with Harmony was because you had a lot of stuff going on with your son.
I don't remember that.
Okay. You said that one of the reasons that Adam brought
I
Harmony
hope you're
to
right. You
her mom
probably
was
are.
because she had already been through so much with the state that he didn't want her to live in the car anymore, and she could live in a better place with Crystal.
Yes.
And that again was trying to get the grand jury to believe your story,
Yes.
and that was a lie.
Yes.
And you said Harmony was a normal kid, right?
Yes.
And that was not a lie.
No.
You said that she had issues like anybody else,
Yes.
and that was not a lie.
No.
And you said that you actually, when Adam came back without Harmony, you actually asked, "Did you take Harmony to Crystal?" like you said, and he told you he had,
Yes.
and that was a lie.
Yes.
You told the grand jury you didn't think it was strange that Adam didn't buy Harmony birthday cards or talk to Crystal about Harmony, right?
Right.
And they asked you why, and you said it was because you had your own issues with your eldest son, and with all that you and Adam were going
This is
through,
weird.
you weren't thinking about Harmony or your eldest son.
Right.
And that is a son that is not of you and Adam, right?
Right.
That is a son that you were also visiting.
Yes.
And there was a lot going on with your son. Adam had a lot going on with Harmony. And so you just didn't think about all those things because it was too chaotic.
Yes.
And so while some of that might be true, that certainly wasn't why you weren't thinking about Harmony, or about Adam not staying in touch.
No,
with
I
you,
don't think
right?
she killed her. I think
Because
she's
you
an
knew Adam was
accessory,
dead,
though.
right? Harmony was dead. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And so you just sort of made that up as a reason why things are going on in your head.
She has a
So
son
something that would be strange
previously,
to other people
I
wasn't
believe.
strange to you, right?
An older son
It just sort of popped
from
into your head.
before
This is a good
Adam.
reason to give the grand jury to try and convince them I'm telling the truth.
Right.
And but it was from a real life detail, right? That was going on in your life with your eldest son.
Yes.
And you told the grand jury that Adam had been violent to you, so you believed that he had been violent to his daughter,
Yes.
but you hadn't seen anything.
Right.
And you told
She's
them
in jail. She
that
doesn't have any
you were
children right now. I think her mom actually has
under the assumption that
3
whole time
kids,
that
but don't
Harmony
quote
was
me
with
on that.
her
Somebody in
mother.
chat might know.
Yes.
Another lie.
Yes.
You told the grand jury, obviously, you were thinking he did something wrong, but you didn't want to think about that, right?
Right.
And you said because you had the other kids too, right?
Right.
You had other stuff to think about.
Right.
When the prosecutor asked you, do you think it's a good possibility that Harmony's not around anymore? You said that could be a possibility, right?
Right.
You didn't tell them that you knew she was dead,
Right.
right? You didn't tell them that you were there when she died.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's what I think.
that's kind of a lie by omission, right?
Yes.
It's like not telling him something,
According to her
to send them
libertarian,
down the
yeah,
wrong
she
road.
was.
right?
Right.
And
No death penalty. It's a
when
second
they
degree
asked you
murder
if you
charge.
remembered any more about the day that Adam drove off with Harmony, you told them what you remembered. Seamus was 2 and Declan was 11
Months.
months. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. I'm going to skip forward. So I'll get the
And, you were
two the laundry
asking
list
if
of,
you
I went
especially
to court, so I got arrested.
even if they're just going with the perjury charges, the defense attorney's saying you'd get 3 to 7 for each of those charges. And you didn't. You didn't even get charged with what you should have got charged with, according to the plea deal, because you lied a lot.
They found you and arrested you on a habeas for missing court, but you also got charged with prescription drugs.
Yes.
I think it's right here.
Behavior statement, right? 3.
Yes.
And You got
And
rearrested.
no death
You were
penalty. That's
supposed to
right.
remain
I
arrested
said
for
that
injury,
earlier.
right?
Yeah. I keep forgetting
Yes,
they
And you
got
got
rid of it.
rearrested, right?
Yes, because I missed court.
Pardon?
I missed court, so I got arrested.
They found you and arrested you on a habeas for missing court, but you also got charged with prescription drugs.
Yes.
And that case went away as well on the day of your plea to the perjury indictments,
Yes.
right? So I want to talk about June 3rd and your interview with the police. You certainly didn't know that day that you would be arrested when you walked in for your check-in, right?
Right.
And on that day when you walked in and got arrested on your check-in, you didn't know if you would be able to walk out.
Right.
They might hold you in jail again for perjury.
Right.
Because it's a pretty serious offense, right? And you knew that when you raised your hand and swore an oath to the grand jury that if you lied to them, it would be a very serious thing.
Yes.
And so you were kind of concerned that you may not be able to get back out on bail when you got arrested.
Yes.
And you said you were ready to talk.
Yes.
You said you wanted to give a statement, right?
Right.
And you did not have an agreement when you said that, right?
Right.
You did not have any negotiation when you said that, right?
Right.
The AG had not actually met up with you at all when you said that, right?
Right.
And you wanted to make sure that you got out as soon as you could, right?
Right.
And so your attorney was called,
Yes.
and there was a sort of agreement reached before you gave your statement, right?
Right.
And you didn't get immunity for crimes, right?
Right.
And you didn't get future immunity for any crimes that you might commit.
Right.
But you did get an agreement that whatever you said that day couldn't be used against you.
Right.
And that they would look at what you said that day, and if they wanted to use it, then you might be able to reach an agreement.
Right.
And so that wasn't the immunity from everything that you had wanted, right?
Right.
That wasn't the no time deal that you had wanted, right?
Right.
That wasn't the ankle monitor that you had wanted, right?
Right.
And there was certainly no guarantee or conversation about you and your future life with your children.
Right.
But you knew they had you solid on the perjury, right?
Right.
You were never getting around that one, right?
Right.
And so you decided that this would probably be the best that you could do to get as few consequences for your actions as possible.
Yes.
Are you okay?
My head hurts. I'm like having a migraine.
Do you need to stop? May we approach your honor?
Yeah, she gets a migraine. So, Libertarian, to answer your question, she says she tried to put her hand up to stop him from hitting Harmony, but then he looked at her like she was next. So she puts her arm down and goes back to behaving. And I tried to tell you guys at the beginning of this, I fair warned you that I have a lot of bias and I do not like this woman. And I absolutely appreciate the people who are like, okay, well, try to look at it this way or think of it that way. I get it. I just think that she's just garbage to me. Yeah, and no, she did not call 911 or do anything to help her as she laid in the backseat dying. According to her story, she ate Burger King and then went and did some more drugs. That's what she did. So this was a child. This was a 5-year-old little girl, cute as a button. So anyway, so they end up stopping court, and now it's Friday, and she'll get to come back on Monday, and she'll get to finish testifying, doing cross, and then they'll get to redirect. But Sleuthy sent me this, and I want to show you guys this, and then what it is. I keep waiting for Adam's Elaine, because that's literally who I think she reminds me of. Elaine. She reminds me of Amber Heard's attorney. To hammer her and break her down so they can both rot in jail. But instead, we spent 3 hours establishing that Kayla is a liar and 2 crackheads thought they could break down a body with a NutriBullet. Let's retweet that. That deserves a retweet. But let me just show you guys. Let me just show you guys this little face. Just want to show you the face. Show you her little tiny face, and how freaking cute it is. And her little tiny teeth, and her little tiny nose, with her cute little glasses. This little baby, she was 5 years old. Her little brother is now older than she ever was. Her little brother is now 7. She never got to live that long. So I know I don't have a lot of compassion for that woman. I just don't. I appreciate you guys giving me the other perspectives, but and it's going to be a very hard one for me. I just don't. Well, Miss K, she says she doesn't know where the body is. Now the little glasses, her little tiny glasses. No, I don't blame only Kayla. And that's why I'm like, I need to be more conscientious with the words I use, because I'm like, I hope the jury's paying attention, but then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want him to get off. So it's a huge conflict for me in this case, because I do not want him to get off. I want him to go to prison forever. I just also want her to go to prison forever. And I'm so pissed. So yeah, I'm not only blaming Kayla. I just also blame Kayla, and I'm pissed that they didn't. Yeah, Adam did it. Kayla was an accessory. Both garbage human beings. That's where I'm at with it. She could have had such a beautiful little life, and it's just gone. So that's why I'm like, I know I need to be more conscientious with my words, because like, is the jury paying attention? I know that did not come out the way that I wanted it to, but I hope you guys know exactly what I mean, because I don't. I think that he's a garbage piece of shit. Sleuth Mom, hi. No one wants Adam to get off, but it's a double-edged sword because I hate that they needed her. Yes. Ugh. Yes. I don't know. She's just so damn cute. There's so many people that would have just taken care of her and made sure she was okay. So we'll be back. We'll be back next week. I'm gonna try to do. I'll try to do a recap early in the week, because I do want to. I knew that when Kayla testified, I was gonna spend more time talking about it than I typically would plan to, because I wanted to talk about some of the other witnesses. But so I'll probably try to do early next week to just go over some more of Kayla's testimony and see what else she has to say when she takes the stand. It's so frustrating. Let me see if where ATS is at. Anybody who is interested in continuing to talk about the case, I know my friend ATS News is live. She's going over things from her perspective. So I am going to reroute this live over there if you would like to join and talk with her. I'm going to go make dinner, or get dinner, because now it's late. I'm not getting Burger King. Yeah, remember, see something, say something. Poor baby. All right, I'll see you guys early next week. Go and try to enjoy your weekend. And I know this one. I keep saying it's a lot. It's so gory, so graphic, and she's so fucking cute, and just But do what you can. Go enjoy your weekend. Go hug your loved ones. Hug your babies. I will, while I'm driving, I'll probably stop over at ATS just to at least say hi over there and see what she's got to say, because I love her insights and her thoughts. So I will see you guys later. Go and have a good one. Thank you guys for being here.